This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hi and welcome to the safari. My name is Taylor and we are welcoming you to a live safari in South Africa. So it's very nice to have all of you with us. Remember that we are going to come to you live, which means that you can all basically ask any questions that you like, and you can do that via #SafariLive on Twitter, and then also at FC on the YouTube chat. Now I'm being very rude because I have my sunglasses on, so let's put those on my hat like I like to do, and also got to flick my ponytail that I can keep it all in a line, and also just stop it from covering my eyes, because otherwise I'm going to have an accident. Good afternoon, everyone. Now obviously it's a happy Halloween to all of you. This is our go-to costume because we had a bit of a costume failure this afternoon. I had a very cool costume planned out, but unfortunately the lovely South African Postal Service, as efficient as they always are, has somehow managed to lose a parcel in the space of 40 days, and so it's taken that long to try and get it here, and they've lost it somewhere. So unfortunately I don't have it, which I'll show you guys a little bit later. Now obviously Taylor's mane is all over the place, so we've got to try and sort it out. Now we'll try and do the remainder of this drive like Taylor. It should be quite interesting getting into sightings like this. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get some odd looks from a lot of people, but we'll figure it out anyway. And hopefully that all of you have enjoyed the start to our afternoon's Halloween drive, and I hope wherever you are that you're going to have fun and get dressed up. Kev, you say it's so great to have me back. I know it's really nice. Zambia was really nice. I enjoyed it. I went fishing and I went and looked at lots of animals. There was lots of elephants on the Zambezi River. It was really very nice, but I'm glad to be back. I'm really hoping to find my favorite animal, the elephants. Look at that. There they are right there. What are the chances of there being elephants to start my drive back from my holiday? They knew we were coming back, exactly, Kirsty. So it's really nice to be back. Kirsty, are you happy to have me back in the seat? Hopefully you are, Kirsty. Don't be ugly to me, otherwise I'm going to leave again. Thank you. Kirsty says my hair looks fabulous. I know. I went for a slightly blonder look. Coming back, I went for the very sort of chic blonde. It's a bit out of control because it's a bit windy out here, so I'll have to kind of fix it, and I'll tie it up and just make sure that it's all prepped for each segment, as I like to do. But anyway, there's some elephants, which is what we were kind of hoping to find, given that we are now back. The elephants are my favorite animals. I absolutely love elephants, especially an elephant called Daryl, who hopefully will be coming back soon, given that it's almost time for marula season, and Daryl loves a marula fruit, so I'm hoping he'll be around. But this is a young little Ellie. There's quite a nice herd that seems to be spread out, and I wonder if this is a really large herd, because when I was leaving camp I saw some Ellies that were down near Vuatelapan, and those Ellies that were down that side were quite spread out, and from where we are is pretty much along the Mulwati from there, and so I wouldn't be surprised if it might be just one big herd that's kind of spread. It obviously could be more than one. The clouds have separated a little bit and it's gotten a bit warmer, and so it could very well mean that we've got a few herds on the property. You can see there it looks a lot friendlier than it did this morning. We actually had a few drops of rain that fell at about 10 o'clock, and then that's kind of moved off, and we now have a much better sort of weather conditions. The thing is though, is when you get a bit of heat like this, that might then build to a storm, because tomorrow apparently Kirsty was saying that the great deluge is coming, so we're going to get flooded and full of water. So hopefully that doesn't happen, and as long as we get some nice rain, we don't need to be flooded. It's always better when you get kind of soft soaking rain, because that's going to be far better for the environment than one massive downpour that just kind of washes away into the drainage lines. The only good thing about a big downpour is it will fill all the dry dams, which we really desperately need. Treehouse and Twin Dams and the Fulsook Dam are all starting to look quite dire at this stage. There's also lots of oxpeckers flying around, so I wonder if there's not some buffalo around here, because when you've got lots of oxpeckers flying around, it can be indicative of a herd of buffalo, or maybe something like kudus or something like that. Anyway, we'll scratch around. Our Ellies are disappearing into thickets, but it sounds like Sydney has also found some Ellies, and they're going for an afternoon drink.
Look at that. This is an incredible sighting. I have got a small elephant head. They are just drinking at the moment. And a very, very good afternoon and welcome to the beginning of the game drive. I am Sydney Fumunani Mikosi. I'm traveling with Senzo, who is my camera operator. We are here by the Viotella pen. And the big ones, majestic animals, they are busy drinking at the moment. So the elephants, they do consume quite a lot of water. They have been drinking here for a while, and mostly they come to the water holes twice a day. So these animals can be able to consume up to 150 to 200 liters of water a day. That is quite a lot. So after drinking sometimes, elephants prefers to clean themselves. You will see them doing some mud wallowing, and sometimes they do swim and they can be able to submerge. The whole big body elephant size can disappear in water. It's just that here by the Vietara pen, the pen is not that very deep, so they cannot be able to hide this big body size in there. Jessica, a lovely question after a very nice elephant trumpet. It was amazing to hear that kind of a noise. I can consider it a small head because here in Juma, some of the heads are very much big. There is big groups of elephants here. So this is one of the small heads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So this is just about 17 elephants all together. And they are very much closely related here because the structure like this is consisted of the closely related family members led by the dominant matriarch, a female. A female responsible here, she's the one who is giving orders where to go and when to drink. The decision for these animals to come and drink here has been taken by just one animal. It's not a collective decision. Others just got to follow the orders. Interesting. Look at how these elephants are moving. There you can see the little ones as well. They are also drinking. So look at that. The little ones are collecting some water there, and they are not drinking everything at the same. Listen to that. So something is not going right there. I can see one of the little ones is trumpeting. So it's very rare these days to hear the elephant trumpeting. Lennon, the elephants, they learn to drink. I'm not too sure of the exact age, but I know they've got to learn how to. Look at that one is trying to play with the trunk there, the little one. They learn how to use the trunk. That's why that one you can see is enjoying using the trunk there because it's still very young. Maybe she has just started now. Sometimes if the dam is too deep and the little ones, the trunk cannot be able to access the water, the big ones must collect water from their own trunk and then give their little ones to drink. I have seen that happening, and it's amazing to see the elephants looking after each other. Elephants has got a very lovely social structure whereby if one of the female dies when she has got the little one, the other ones do take over and nurse that little one, give the little one some milk, although it's not the biological mother. Look at that. You can see that that one is waving the trunk in order to chase some of the big ones coming closer. So it seems like they are done drinking. They are just now relaxed because there's a very big shade provided by some of the trees here. It is very, very important for the dam to have some of the big trees and small trees because the dam's predators must have to use this kind of trees and bushes to hide, waiting for the other animals. An open space by the dam is not good. But the open space can also be good, yes, for the prey. So the prey animals, they prefer the open space in order to avoid predators. So now let's go to Taylor with more elephants.
Indeed, I am with more elephants. We've got a little baby elephant that is thoroughly enjoying just moving around and trying to use its trunk. It's been trying to imitate Mom, as Mom has tried to feed off all kinds of little sort of roots and tubers, and this little one has been trying to kind of get those and be able to feed off. Hello, little one. Are you also happy to see Taylor is back? Yes. It's these shimmering gold locks. Yeah, he was just having a little look. Probably decided that I look horrendous and has decided to move off. My hair is all over the place, but you know, as now I know why Taylor always flicks her ponytail, is to try and keep her mane under control. It must be quite tricky to be a female on Game Drive, because the wind does blow it all over the place. Not that I've tied this very well at all. I had to ask one of the girls on FC to do all of this, because otherwise, yes, it gets very naughty. And I'm also shedding at the moment, but we know if we like, the Taylor flick actually works quite well. It's kind of, see, there we go. Is it right, Kirsty? Am I doing it right? I think she does like a I don't know, that didn't work so well, but let's go. Anyway, our enemies have moved off. They're not impressed by. Am I getting it? Okay, there we go. So I just got to try and mimic Taylor's kind of way of doing things, and obviously Taylor's always got the sunglasses on her hat as she drives around as well, and she's probably going to punch me in the face at some point. The good thing is actually, talking about Taylor, is that Ali and I are going to go and see Taylor in a few weeks time. In fact, less than 2 weeks now. We're going to go and say hello to Taylor. We're going up to Zambia for a bit, and we're going to pop in there and just go and have a couple nights with Taylor and go and see how she's doing, in all seriousness. But we decided, you know, given that we didn't have a costume really planned out, and Jamie is going to actually be Taylor this evening, so there's going to be 2 Taylors running around tonight. I know she's that popular. So Jamie had the wig out, and I thought, well, I'll just quickly pop it on, given that I had a costume failure. Now I wonder if that bird's going to sit still. Craig, can you see the little bee eater down there? I don't know if you can. There's a little bright green bird. So somewhere there, Craigie, there's like a dark stump just above it there, somewhere in that general vicinity. Is it still there? Yes, I can still see it. Should be there. There it is. So there's a little bee eater. They always provide a lot of colour at this time of the year. And it's one of the nice things about birding in the late winter, early summer, before the rains arrive, is because a lot of the time you get very bright, colourful birds. Unfortunately, it's flown away now. That arrive here, and particularly things like bush shrikes, these little bee eaters, even some of the cuckoos. And because there's no foliage on the trees, it actually becomes a lot easier to spot them and to make sure that you can see them. And so Brent and I and Jamie and we're talking about this as to how nice some of the bush shrike sightings have been of late, given that there hasn't been too much foliage, and we've been able to kind of see all these birds a lot more clearly than we usually do. Right, now the plan is, obviously our Ellies just don't want to be friends with us today. They've been quite sort of difficult this afternoon. They keep moving, and I think it's got to do with the wind that we've been having. And so I'm going to leave them there, and I'm going to head off towards Buffelshoek Dam, and from there then we're going to cut into Torchwood and try and see if we can find Thandi and Tlalamba. They were left moving north away from Torchwood Dam up a drainage line, and so I'm hoping that we can actually find them somewhere. They hadn't got a kill when they were lost. I suppose left is a strong word. They were lost more than they were left. But there's a beautiful 2 sort of waterbuck males that are sitting here, and so we'll have a quick look at them, if you don't mind, Chris. I know you want me to send you off northwards, but we're just going to have a quick look at the 2 boys that are standing there. Aren't they elegant? 2 beautiful sized waterbuck. They really are big boys, and so always nice to see them, kind of carbon copy of one another, isn't it? Their horns look very similar, except the one at the back looks like he's got a slightly wider spread on his. Right, these guys are in all likelihood just going to sit here, and they're going to look around, and they seem quite kind of nervous, and so we're going to carry on towards Buffelshoek Dam. Maybe them being here is a reason to think there might be something there, and while we do that, let's send you to, well, the Mystic Boer up in Kenya.
And welcome to the Masai Mara, the Mara Triangle portion of the Masai Mara. At least you got Steph today on the vehicle, as well as Archie. And we are around one of the most bizarre sights that I have seen in an age. there are two dead, excuse me, I didn't even look you in the face there. There are two dead two dead giraffe, excuse me, I don't even know where my brain has gone today. Two dead giraffe, they're two bull giraffe, and what it looks like has happened is they've killed each other in a fight. Now, bull giraffe, it is common for one giraffe to kill another giraffe, but two to score a knockout blow and a death blow at that against each other is just absolutely weird. I've never seen anything like it. I've never even heard about it, never read about it. And although it is absolutely feasible that two giraffe could headbutt each other to death in a fight over a female, the timing must have been perfect. Now, what I mean by the timing must have been perfect is the fact that giraffe fight with they fight by necking. So they fight standing top to tail, and they will swing their heads at each other at the end of their necks with incredible force. Now, I didn't actually realize how hard a giraffe could swing at another giraffe until I watched a documentary called Africa, which David Attenborough narrates, and in it they've managed to capture a sequence of giraffe bulls fighting with one another, and one giraffe actually knocks another giraffe off its feet, and that was just with a body shot. So you can imagine with a head that's probably this big, about, you know, probably 2 foot in diameter by about 1 foot, swinging with the power that these animals can produce, that if they timed it just right and they connected each other's heads together, they would have killed each other. And that's what happened here. They weren't killed by a lion, and there's no other thing. Disease wouldn't have killed them so close to one another except for poison, and nothing else is dead around here. So definitely think that it was just these two. Now, excuse the wind that's come up. There is an enormous storm that is bypassing us by a couple of 100 yards, and I'm very happy that it's not. Now, you would have noticed that this giraffe carcass is covered in vultures. There's a whole bunch of vultures over here, from griffins to Ruppel's vulture, and that noise that you're hearing is them squawking at one another. And they are flying in from all over the place. Everywhere we look, there's vultures. In every tree that can house a vulture, there's a vulture. It's probably covered in about more than 50, I'd say probably less than 100, but definitely an amazing amount of vultures. More vultures than I've seen on a carcass in South Africa in probably 20 years. Vultures in every tree, digesting a mouthful of meat. Now one might ask, where has the lions gone? Where have the hyena gone? Why are they not here? The lions are lying about 500 meters away. Hyena, probably with bellies full, have gone back to their dens to go and nurse youngsters, and will be back here as soon as it gets dark. I'm actually looking forward to the evening over here. I think that what's going to happen is the action will heat up. Funnily enough, if there's any meat left, that is. Vultures finish more meat themselves in Africa every single day than what all the other predators combined can finish. Isn't that amazing? Stoop, you've asked an interesting question. Is it possible that lightning could have killed these giraffe? It is absolutely possible that lightning could have killed these giraffe, and I never even considered it, but it is a very, very feasible cause for this. Giraffe are tall, they like to stand in the open. When it's raining really hard or where there's a really big storm, they will stand sometimes together to stay warm. And two giraffes standing next to each other receiving the single lightning bolt, even if it's in the vicinity, would absolutely be able to kill these two giraffes. Now, the only way that we'd really be able to figure out if they were killed by lightning was to go and have a look at the carcass itself for any obvious burn marks. And taking the cue from what a Dacre carcass looked like a couple of months ago, it was struck by lightning under a tree at Djuma. We were able to see where the blood vessels had burnt into the skin. And now what happened there was the blood had probably vaporized, or the water in the blood had vaporized, and it seared the blood vessels through the skin, making this pattern on this duiker's skin. Now, we were here last night and this morning, and although from the video I couldn't see any of that patterning, it would require a closer inspection, especially since a giraffe skin is much thicker than what a duiker skin is. To give you an example of how thick a giraffe skin is, if you take your finger, your index finger, and you hold it up, a giraffe skin is as thick as your index finger. That's all its skin, including the layers underneath, before it gets to the fatty, meaty layers. These vultures are having an absolute squabble. Everything's about hierarchy out here, and so the bigger you are, the choicer the morsel you get. So the biggest vultures and marabou storks get their fill first. But when you're the same size, like all of these Ruppel's vultures, like the vultures you're looking at there now, everything comes down to the infinitesimal amount of weight difference that you have as a bird. And so it's all about posturing and noise and drama. And then of course you get your mouthful. The featherless head is adapted to do exactly what you're watching it do there now, is to get into the cavities all over the place. And so that when you pull your head out, you don't leave all your feathers behind. Now, it's not completely featherless, as you can see from that vulture there, but there definitely aren't a lot of feathers on a vulture's head. Now, they have a crop similar to many birds that lies at the base or the junction of their neck and their body, and then from there it'll go into their stomach. Now, Abid, you've asked an interesting question. How do the outlying vultures get word that there's a kill here? So basically, there's layers in the sky. There's the ground layer, which a vulture above it will be able to have a look at. And then its friend can see at an angle down to the same spot. But when you start getting further and further away, the only thing that you can see is another vulture. And they're all connected in a web probably throughout Africa. Probably not the tropics, but definitely subtropics, even deserts. So every vulture can see at least every other vulture. When there's a lot of meat like this, the first vultures above it come down, their friends come down, their friends come down, and you get this funnel forming. And the more meat that's there, the deeper the funnel. So as you're watching your friend go down and his friend go down, you're going to go and you're racing there to get your meat. As soon as the meat is finished, the vultures fly up. And as soon as that funnel inverts or breaks up, then the vultures stop coming in and they will start to spread out again and look for kills. So basically like a bunch of tornadoes, if you can think about multiple tornadoes. I don't think there's here comes a hyena. I don't think there's anything really like the movies, but if you think about some of these weird sci-fi movies where you have multiple tornadoes all in the same area, that's pretty much how I envision vulture funnels to look. So that is a spotted hyena. It already looks like it has been funneling. There's another one coming. This is exactly what I was waiting for, everybody, was just the temperature to cool down a bit and for the predators to start coming back. Now these hyena are going to come in here. You're probably going to see them try and chase the vultures away. It's going to be a bit of a squawk and a flap and a moving out of the way. The bigger you are, the easier or the better your chances of eating are out here. I'm very happy the storm has blown by us. Here we go. And into the carcass at full speed, just to chase away whatever's there, just to announce it. Snap here, snap there. Very cool. And quickly, just to get the best parts of that carcass. They will probably feed, just topping up the food that they've got in their stomachs already. They can eat about 20%, 25% of their body weight in a single sitting. Oh. Can you imagine licking that fur right now? Just the cringe that develops in my body is just unbelievable. Gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. I mean, the tolerance that their systems must have for bacteria that grow on carcasses is just something out of this world. Now, hyena are supremely suited to opening up carcasses like this. They've got incredibly strong jaws, very heavily muscled forequarters and necks, and triangular heads which have got these very broad muscles on, and sharp sort of chisel teeth that they use to shear and tear and crack bones open and feed on this thing. What we're going to do, why don't we sit here for a little bit, watch these hyenas get into it. They're a little bit nervous at the moment, looking around for lions. If something else happens, we'll give you a shout back. You're off to Sydney with some elephant.
So the elephants are done now with drinking. Sorry, they are now busy having some diet. So they are busy feeding at the moment, and they are very much peaceful here where I am. There is quite a lot of small babies here. So this herd, I'm sure, is not traveling long distances, considering the weather these days is getting very hot, and with the little ones of this age, walking long distances can be a problem. So these elephants, the little ones that we have just seen earlier, they can be able to learn to eat the vegetation when they're about 3 to 4 months. And they will be nursed by the mother for a period of 3 to 4 years. These little ones, they do separate from the mother. They are going to now move away from the mother and start to do their own things. So that is not very far away from how we do things. Brandon, that is quite a very lovely question. The elephants, unfortunately, they are not territorial. Elephants are home ranges. Home ranges has got nothing to do with mating and breeding. Home ranges is about moving everywhere in the reserve in search of food. Home ranges is based on foraging purposes. Territories has got something to do with mating and breeding. And a home range is a big area where the territory is occupied. So territories, in other words, they are marked on top of the home range. That is why the home range species can trespass the territories and go everywhere in search of the food. So you can see these elephants, all of them are just concentrating feeding. These animals can eat for 18 hours, 18 to 21 hours. That is a lot. So now let's go back to the scavengers. So the scavengers already, they have started dominating the giraffe.
Just have a look at these hyena. They are now tucking in. Vultures have made some space, and they are busy having a mouthful. They can eat the most unbelievable amount of food. Jamie once sent a photograph of one that was walking down the road that I thought had been photoshopped by how fat it was. It looked like somebody had stuck an air hose in its tummy and pumped it up. So what we think is full with these hyena definitely isn't. I think they can eat a lot more. What an incredible feast for them. This is probably about... Alright, we'll be back with you in a second. Welcome to the Mara Triangle Game Reserve in Kenya, everybody. My name is Stefan Winterboer, and that was a dead giraffe that you were looking at. Not just one dead giraffe, but two dead giraffe. They were bull giraffe, and they killed each other, probably fighting with one another, or as one of our viewers said a little bit earlier, probably with lightning. Now, it is an incredible bonanza of food that is attracting vultures probably from hundreds of kilometers around from where we are right now, and we are lucky enough to be joined by two hyena. Now these vultures have made some space for the hyena at the carcass and will more than likely be spending the evening in one of the trees close by. There's just too much meat to go to waste. As the temperature cools down, the birds will be replaced by mammals and probably by more hyena or lion. Now, a kill like this or meat like this will be too much for hyena and lion to bear, and it might even cause some fights. Now, Res, you'd say, is it hard for vultures to pull meat off a carcass? They're very strong birds, to be quite honest with you, and their beaks have a cutting edge on the side, so it's like garden shears. They can shear off pieces of meat with ease, and then using leverage and their muscles from their big strong thighs, they can pull off the pieces that they cut. Hyena do a similar thing, except that they don't have as well-developed cutting appendages in their jaws. Their teeth are more like chisels, and so they use very, very strong neck muscles to impart a lot of force on the points of their teeth, and then they use those big thick necks that they've got and their thick shoulders to leverage and pull and rip pieces of meat off. Now this will probably last another 2 days or so, maybe a day, depending on how many vultures finally arrive and how many hyena and lion finally arrive. Hyena can eat about 20 to 25% of their body weight in a sitting. And vultures can eat a couple of 100 grams of food. That's about it, maximum. They won't be able to eat anything more, otherwise they won't be able to fly, which, as you can see, in most of these vultures. Now, a lot of you are new to this and are joining as we speak, and so want to know what has happened. These two giraffe killed each other, we think, by fighting with each other. Giraffe fight using their heads, smashing into their bodies, leveraging it on their necks, and using their height. And what I think happened over here personally is that these two giraffe just timed or mistimed a head bashing and managed to connect each other's heads, killing each other instantly, I would assume, by the fact that they are lying right next to each other, top to tail. So the one giraffe, the one on the right hand side, lying with his head towards us, that's his shoulders, and the other giraffe on the other side is lying with his head facing away from us, and what you're looking at there is the tail, just to the middle of the hyena and that vulture with the white neck. Look how fat that hyena is. That's a spotted hyena, and they are one of the dominant predators out here, one of the super predators out here. They share the top spot with lion. There are a few lion in the area. They're lying apparently about 500 meters from where we are now, in some shade away from the carcass. Now, the reason for that is that this carcass is attracting a lot of attention, and if there are babies with those lions, they'd like to take their babies away while they sleep off a full tummy. Now that hyena has eaten its full, it looks like, and is moving off. You know, it's every single time you get to a carcass and you think you know what is going to happen, something happens that completely befuddles you. Paul, you say what a great mixture of animals. I agree with you 100%. There's lion lying 500 meters away. There's these two hyena, which I'm still perplexed. Why not more hyena? Where's that one going? Why is it walking away? This hyena, why is it staying? So absolutely, lots of vultures. There's Rupel's vulture here. There's griffins, marabou storks, and that hyena just walking off into the distance. Look at how many vultures are here. What a treat. Now, we're going to be saying goodbye to some of you. Remember, you can carry on watching the sighting. If you just Google SafariLive, you'll be able to find us. There's very many platforms around the place that you can carry on watching this from. So we're going to be saying goodbye to you, to some of you at least. And if we see more of you again in a little bit, then goodbye for now and hello just now again. Right, what we're going to be doing is just quickly putting on some more raincoats and things. We're getting some rain splatter coming in from behind us, and so why don't we go and have a look at what's happening in South Africa.
Well, we tried to follow some leopard tracks, and look what it led us to. There we go, there's the big Duke sitting ever so nicely on the bank of a little drainage line off Nyala Road, and he's going to start walking for us. Isn't that very kind of him? He's going to come down the bank straight at us. Hello, boy. Now, we saw the tracks and we thought to ourselves, well, these look very, very fresh, and so I walked a little bit and decided to stop and kind of go back to the car and then come around and check the road. And it's a good thing that I did, because I would have walked slap bang into Tingana. I stopped maybe 50 meters from where he actually was lying, and we know how he likes to be when you're on foot. He'll end up running away, and so we got very lucky that I did stop where I did and that he remained stationary. But isn't that cool? There we go. What a nice surprise to have Tingana with us for So, Tula Ann, a very important question, and you're right. Who's going to know whether or not it's me or Taylor that's actually driving? I don't know, Tula Ann. We're going to have to see. So far, Tingana doesn't look as though he's too impressed with my outfit. He's just looking at me as if to say, "You fool! What are you actually doing?" But maybe they'll think I'm Taylor. Imagine that. That will be quite fun. The Ellies have been out, so we've had Taylor's favorite animal, and then the second animal that we've got is my favorite animal. So who knows? Maybe the animals do know that it's me, and that's why Tingana is out and we're getting such a nice kind of view of him. But it's interesting because I thought he might be here and that we would get at least a decent view of him. I was hoping that he was going to come out and start moving. It's nice conditions for a leopard to be walking around, and so I wonder if he didn't just hear the car and go and kind of lay down. Now, what is he looking at? He seems like he's stalking something. You see that? Look at the twitch in the tail. Right, now while we see what he's stalking, let's quickly send you back up to the Masai Mara with Steph, who's got a lion running towards the carcass, and I wonder whether that lion's going to get taught a lesson by the hyenas or if the vultures are going to go.
Have a look at this. This lioness has just run in and killed a vulture, or busy trying to kill a vulture. I think that vulture is just lying very meekly there. This lion took massive offense that its kill was being feasted on by all these vultures. They made space instantly. One was just a little bit slow getting off the ground, being so full of giraffe that it couldn't even move, and now the lion's pinned it. What are you doing? Definitely a grumpy cat there. Your belly's full, there's enough meat for everything. So those hyena at least have skedaddled. I can see 3 hyena now. One lioness will absolutely not be able to hold off 3 of these, 3 of these hyena. And why she ran in here at that speed, I have no idea. It couldn't have been just to smash a vulture down. Could it have been? She definitely does not like vultures. It's almost like she wants to jump up and catch something. That's mad. Let's see if she starts to feed, and it'll be very interesting to see if she actually comes back to the carcass or goes back to where she was lying. She's run in from about 500 meters away and left the rest of her pride in her dust. Now I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hyenas approaching, all in an arc from where we are. Is she really going to eat that vulture? No. Just let it go. No, she is. Oh, no. Not only is this giraffe mank beyond words, she now has to go and eat it as well. That is very, very weird behavior. I've seen them chasing around some jackal. I've seen them chasing around hyena. I've seen them catch and claw and bite, but I've never seen them kill one. And let's see if she is going to eat it. And she did kill it as well. Look at that. No, man. What did you do that for? How bizarre. Now she's going to go and chase around some more. Now it is raining on us at the moment, which means that we at some point are going to have to cover some of our expensive equipment with some rain-proof stuff. Archie, I'll let you make that decision. Right now we're all okay, so we don't need to go anywhere. We can still watch all of this action, which is fantastic. So she still hasn't even come in to have a mouthful. Okay, so we've got another lioness coming. I've got 1 jackal, 3 hyena, 4, 5, 6 hyena. That lioness will come into view now. She's just we've got a few cars around us, as you can imagine. That this is. Look here. Oh, the vulture is alive. The vulture's alive and it stood up. No, don't catch it again. So she didn't even kill it. She just hurt it. Well, it's definitely playing the meek and mild. Definitely playing the meek and mild. And look, she's left it again. She just swatted it out there. Okay, vulture, now's your time. Get up and run away. Come on. The rain is increasing in tempo. Okay, so we're just going to turn the vehicle a little bit just to put our back end towards the rain. Glenn, you say that vulture's a tough bird. I must be honest with you, I agree with you totally. The vulture is a tough bird. You good? I'm just moving my car so that we don't have to leave the sighting to put our rain covers on. Is that good? So I just had to do that so we can stay with you without having to move off. And that seems to have done the trick. So we've got 1 lioness that decided I can see 2 lions and 3 hyena. They're making space for these lions. And then that vulture is still busy lying down, feeling very sorry for himself. He's still alive. Look there, he's got his head up. I think just terrified. And probably she did chew on him a bit, so you probably find that he has got something broken, except that it did look like his wings were okay. No, leave it alone. Don't be such a bully. That is so typical lion. They can't leave anything alone. Lions are proper bullies. So that vulture's just busy trying to be a stump. Kirsty tells me that everyone's amazed by this. I'm just as amazed as what you are, everyone. This is just one of those weird sightings. An unusual death of 2 giraffe. A lioness running in from 500 meters away to not chase away a hyena, but to chase away vultures, and in the process catching a vulture. Not killing it. Swatting it out the air when it tries to fly away. These hyena have ski-daddled now. I can see still the same 6 hyena, but more lion are coming in now. Lady Starfire, are you rooting for that vulture to get away? I couldn't agree with you more, to be honest with you. I'm also rooting for that vulture to get away. For some reason, I don't know why, but it's just you just want that vulture to get up and fly away. Right now, that lioness is now laying down right next to the vulture. It's still got its head up and still trying to hide away. And that lioness is just keeping watch. I have no doubt that if it tried to get up and run away, that the lion will swat it out of the air again. But my gut feel tells me that as soon as the rest of the pride arrive, which should be in, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, they're still quite far off, that when they start feeding, she'll feel left out and then she'll leave the vultures alone. Now I have a pretty good view of the neck of this vulture lying close to the tail of the other one. Give an idea of how they fell down. That is, if you can imagine just extrapolating how they were standing next to each other, that either lightning, definitely an option, or just a simultaneous head crack, like you see in some fights sometimes when boxers knock each other out at the same time. Could have been either. And two good-looking giraffe. I mean, look at the size of the shoulder. Rigor mortis has set in. The carcass is swollen up a little bit, but you can see the muscle definition in the shoulders of that bull giraffe. That is, when you have a look at a really prime bull giraffe, that's how big their shoulders are. It's not all just swelling and fluid build-up. The vultures have done a good job. There is still hundreds of kilograms of meat on this carcass, so more than enough for all the lions. Alright, these lions have lain down now. The vulture, we'll keep an eye on the vulture for you. Why don't we have a look at Tingana while we still can?
Well, how ridiculous is that sighting? It's certainly something that you're not going to see every single day. I've watched many lions of many kills and have chased a lot of vultures, but I've never actually seen one being killed. I've seen one being grabbed and feathers going everywhere and the vulture escaping, but never one actually going down and not getting back up again and being kind of pinned down by lions. That's quite something to see. Now you can see Tingana's still quite alert. He kind of goes through phases where he's alert like this and then he sort of goes back to sleep a bit, so I don't know what is lurking around. When we drove Central, which is the road just that's in front of him where he's facing towards, there was a duiker on each side of the road, but both of them seem to have moved off and seem to have gone in a different direction, and so I'm surprised. He might be seeing something else. I don't know, maybe the duiker came back and is still feeding. A lot of it is probably to do with the fact that there's a jackalberry tree off to his left hand side at the moment that is dropping fruits, and there's a number of birds that are in that jackalberry. So there's the jackalberry there. There's a lot of green pigeons and go-away birds and various other things that are milling about. And I wonder if the duiker down below is still milling around trying to get some jackalberry fruits of its own. He's in a good spot if there is a duiker in there, because it's really very, very thick around. Now look, he's starting to move. What have you spotted, Tingana? I can't see anything at all, but the way he's walking, he has seen something, that's for sure, and that he's trying to hunt. How cool is this? So from lions that are actively going after vultures to a leopard that's also stalking. The animals are putting on a show for Halloween. No, there's another leopard here. He's sawing and he's chuffing. It's definitely not a prey animal. He's sawing and chuffing. There must be another leopard here. Why would he chuff like that and saw? And he kind of dropped his head down a little bit, unless something just chased him. But maybe Tundi's around on the other side. Let's just try and get round here, because it gets round onto the road. I think unfortunately for me though, I do have a bent steering rod, which is going to make life very difficult to move around, but we're going to try and see how we can do this. But at this stage I think we might have to head back to camp and try and change it, because I don't think I'm going to be able to. No, I don't see anything. I wonder what it was that caused him. Just his reaction was very much like he saw another leopard, but I don't see anything, unless of course maybe whatever saw him kind of snorted, and that's why he gave a little kind of chuff and then a saw. But I don't see another leopard here. I would expect him, if he was walking, for the other leopard to be following him and looking and kind of seeing what's going on. But that reaction was very strange. I've seen leopards saw when it comes to being spotted, but never to behave like that and to make a lot of kind of, well, a chuffing sound more than anything else. Right, now I'm going to try and see how the car manages. But while we try and kind of figure out if we're going to actually be able to carry on driving, let's send you back across to Steph and see how the vulture is faring.
So that's the vulture that the lion caught, slinking away in the grass. The lioness went off to join her sisters, and the vulture, seeing that the danger had passed, has managed to slink off from where it was and is still not trying to fly. I think that the reason why this vulture got caught was because it's too full of meat. And when they're too full, they can't take off, or at least they can, but it does require some definite air currents, and you can see it busy moving off there now. Shame, I wonder where it's going to go. Try and get to a tree. You can see how its feathers on its back are all ruffled up. Doesn't look like anything's broken, to be honest. I think she just mouthed it a bit. And it disappears there into the grass. I'm actually quite glad that it's okay. It's looking a bit bedraggled and sorry for itself. Sort of shuffling off there into the grass, shame, man. That is crazy. More than likely find that it's walking off to a bush somewhere where it can start to climb up off the floor and get out of the wet grass and get its feathers a little bit less waterlogged. There, standing up on the termite mound, so out of the grass. Now you can see a better look at it. Let's see if its wings are broken. The one on the right definitely isn't broken. The one on the left isn't hanging any lower, so that isn't broken either, which is a good thing. It does look like it's hanging a little bit lower, or is that just my imagination? No, it looks okay. Come now, shake out your feathers. Come on. Give yourself a good shake. Get rid of all that disgusting lion slobber that's all over your back. Kirsty says that it's probably so traumatized it's forgotten how to fly. I must say I agree with you. You can see there that it's just been left alone. Vultures everywhere else except for where he or she is. Come on, you can do it. Take off. Come on. You just need to find it to a tree, and once you're in the tree, then the wind will dry you out, and then you'll be okay. You can do it. Come on. No. At least he's got a friend there walking close to it now. That's a griffon vulture, not a Ruppel's vulture like it is. And can you believe it? We went from over 100 vultures to not even one single vulture around this carcass, just a marabou stalk. Have a look at that. It looks like nothing was even here. It is actually quite cool. There comes one flying in, doop, on the floor, paying respects to the marabou stalk. The bird with the largest or widest wingspan of any of the African birds, the only bird on the planet that has a slightly, and I mean by a margin of less than an inch, I think, is the condor, one of the big condors in South America. You're looking at one of the best ones, and you can see the white streaks on its legs. That comes from its own feces, which it defecates down its leg, so that when the water vapor in the feces is evaporating, it cools the blood down, which the bird pumps into its legs, and then cools the bird down itself. A type of evapotranspiration. I'm just going to go forward a little bit. Got a procession of cars trying to pass us, and I think I'm creating a proper roadblock. It is really quite amazing, this sighting. We've got that bedraggled vulture, which is now facing us at least, so she's turned around. So one of the feathers is out of place, and the back feathers where the lion was mouthing her a little bit ruffled. She's coming back. Nico, you wanted to know if vultures sleep on the ground? To be honest with you, I've never seen one, Nico, sleeping on the ground, personally. But that's because where I've done most of my guiding in the Kruger National Park, there are lots of trees. Of course, out here, there's not that many trees, and a vulture that's as full as what this one is, wouldn't be able to necessarily get up into the trees. There's lots of space to take off. Wind is another thing. Ooh, big question there, Nico. I'm going to put myself out there and say that vultures do not sleep on the floor. That vultures will most of the time, unless in exceptional cases, always sleep in a tree. Now, what is going to be super funny is if we watch this this vulture that has been inside a lion's mouth and then clawed out of the air manages to come back into this carcass and start feeding. It would be very funny for me, to be honest. And it's coming back, can you believe it? Definitely looking a little bit submissive. I love those feathers on its back that are now being salivated up, sort of like what my wife does to my son, much to, he hates it when she spits on her fingers and then styles his hair. I think that's what's happened here. Now, I don't think that anything's wrong with this vulture. Well, that one wing, no, both wings are the same. So no wings broken. Oh, these birds are tough, eh? Got a bit of a limp. No limp. I can honestly say that that's probably the luckiest vulture. Yeah. It is it's a half a vulture, as Kirsty says. No, it's definitely not able to fly. Now, that lioness came from 500 meters away, chased all the vultures off the carcass, slapped this vulture out the sky, mouthed it, slapped it out the sky again, and then went off to join her friends without even having a mouthful, not even a single mouthful of meat. And here comes this hop along now. Probably in exactly the same spot it was when it got smashed by the lion in the first place. Come on, have a mouthful. That would just end this sighting for me. Right? Come on, you can do it. There we go. For some reason, I still feel quite sorry for this bird. There you go, submissive past his friends, like, hey man, just let me in again. I suppose its confidence has been bashed around a little bit. Come on, have a mouthful. Poke a finger at this lion. Show them exactly how much you can actually eat this carcass. Rain is softly falling around us. No wind, well, very light wind at least. There we go. It's going to have a mouthful. I'm sure you can join me in a round of applause, everyone. That's incredible. No, don't go and do that now. Don't chase him away. No, he's in there. That's not the one with the ruffled feathers. Congratulations. Gee whiz, I never thought I'd develop feelings for a vulture like that. Unbelievable. Well done. A vulture slowly starting to come back. The hungrier of them, obviously these are the ones that came from further away. Archie, can I ask you to go and have a look at how many hyena are in the distance over there, please? I just want to see. Here they all come. So they're making their way to us. 1, 2, 3, 4 hyena. The lion have moved off. I can't, well, I mean, I'm sure if we look for the lion, we'll be able to show them to you. The lion came and had a look at the carcass and then moved off. They sat staring at their friend, busy giving a vulture a lesson in manners. And now that they've moved off without even coming for a mouthful, the hyena are coming. Ladybird, you'd like to know how long a vulture's memory span is. I'm assuming you're wanting to know how long this vulture is going to be traumatized by being inside a lion's mouth. I don't know, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I've seen vultures in displays, in aviaries, in a few different places, and they seem to habituate quite well to the people that handle them. That's a difficult question to answer. I don't think they've got a short memory, for that matter, but I also don't think they've got a particularly long memory. I'm just keeping my eyes open. We've got a gorgeous sunset setting over the escarpment. We've got some hyena approaching. There's some lions around, so there's good chance for some decent action around this carcass. Vultures are starting to come in. A proper little saga here. Now, our pride of lion is not doing much at all except for creating distance between themselves and food, but I hear that Sydney has got some other lions to show you as well.
It has been an interesting competition by the Masai Mara, seeing the vultures and hyenas with the giraffes. Here I have got the unkuhumas. They are just resting at the moment. This is one of the mangeni. So now let's quickly go to Tristan.
Well, you can see, look at the focus on Tingana. He's stalking something. I have absolutely no idea what it is at the moment. We can't see anything here. It might be because of the fact that I've got about 400 million strands of chemical blonde hair in my face at the moment that I can't see anything on. I'm trying to kind of look around. Craig, can you see anything? The way he's stalking is as though he's very, very close to it. Kind of his body posture, the way his tail is twitching. He looks as though he's getting near to what his target is. Now, normally with a leopard, when they get like this, they're quite close. They're normally sort of within 10-15 meters of their prey animal, but I can't see a single thing. I'm still very perplexed by his behavior just now, as to the way he kind of just started chuffing and sawing. I don't know what triggered that. Must have been a prey animal that ran away, but it was quite unique. Normally when you see them being spotted, they kind of relax their posture and then they start to soar, but he kind of went down and flattened his ears before he did anything else. Now, conditions this afternoon are perfect for him to be hunting, so I suppose that's why he is. He's also very hungry at the moment, but he's kind of got a bit of a windy sort of day. It's a bit overcast and grey, not bright sunlight, which means the light is quite soft, and he's blending in really well. But the way that he's positioned, it almost looks as though his back legs are underneath him and are very much kind of poised to go. But I don't see anything small. I'm looking for scrub hairs. I'm looking for anything that it could potentially be close. Look, you see, he looks like he wants to run. Oh, I wonder what he's doing. Like I say, can't see anything. Right, well, First, I don't know either, to be honest with you. Maybe we can have a go and see what happens. I can't see what exactly he is. We were just stalking, or how far he is from it at this stage. I'm trying to kind of like hang out the car to see what he could be looking at. I'm trying to get like a better angle, the same angle that he's got, but at this stage it's very, very, very tricky to see. I don't see absolutely anything, but his body posture suggests that he's ready to almost go. Look at how his hips are almost resettling and removing. His breathing is quite controlled, and he is definitely seeing something that is not far at all, which surprises me because I would have thought we would have been able to see it. I'm going to just get my binos quickly and have a little look with my binoculars. Sometimes with binoculars you can spot things that you can't see with the naked eye that is close by, particularly when it's quite thick and dense. If you use binos, sometimes you can just pick up something behind a thicket. There's just wood there, wood, branches. I don't see anything, if I'm honest with you guys. I'm trying to look and see if there's something, but maybe it's something that's lying down in the grass. Maybe like a little baby duiker or something. Mrs. Lapwing, you might be right. Given it is Halloween, maybe Tingana has seen a ghost and he is stalking a ghost. I think you've nailed it on the head. That is exactly what is going on, and therefore it's going to make life very, very tricky for us to be able to see anything. But I don't see, I mean, I've looked with my binos, I can't see anything. The way he's looking is almost into a little thicket of tambuertes that is just off to his kind of front left, so in straight ahead of his head basically. There's a little thicket in there, and that's where it kind of seems like he's facing. I've scanned it with my binos and I don't see any sign of anything, but whatever it is, I don't think it's lying down. I don't think it's a baby duiker or steenbok lying down, because generally if they lie down, then he can move. It's as soon as something spots him that is moving and has got his head up, do they lie down like this and wait. But his body posture is relaxed a little bit. If you look now at his left leg, you see it's not so much tucked underneath as though he's about to spring. It's kind of pushed out to the side a little bit, which is a bit more kind of him sort of just dropping his bum a little bit to the right, just to be a bit more comfortable. When they sit with their legs underneath, you can imagine it's like, imagine sitting in a squat, and it gets uncomfortable. Jennifer, no, if it was another leopard, he wouldn't really act like this. It depends on obviously which leopard it would be as to his behavior, but generally with other leopards he'll be salivating quite heavily. There'll be a bit of chuffing. He'll have his head up and he'll look, and he'll try and stand up and make himself look as big as possible. This is him stalking. He's seen something that he wants to eat. I just have absolutely zero idea what it is that he's seen. It could be something as kind of inconspicuous as even a scrub hare or a monitor lizard or something like that. You can never write off any of these things, but the way he's looking, I mean, we should have a good line as to where he's looking. I don't want to move because whatever it is could be very close, and me starting the engine could trigger it to run away. So I'm just sitting as dead still as possible. But it's nothing big. I mean, if it was something like a nyala or a kudu or impalas, you know, we would have seen them. They would have seen the movement. So it's nothing like that. I think it must be a duiker. That's what my kind of guess would be if I was to guess anything. It's just hidden in and amongst these thickets at the moment. That would be my kind of guess in this potential area. You know, like I say, something like a nyala we would have most definitely have seen by now. Well, Roshni, I mean, his sawing was far away from where we are right now. He's walked quite a bit. I mean, he's probably done, I would say, 150 meters from where he sawed, and so it might have been whatever was around ran this way and has just kind of repositioned itself here. And he was ambling along. He wasn't actually stalking after he sawed like that. He ambled along and walked all the way down this drainage line, and then all of a sudden came to a grinding halt and then acted like this. So I don't think it is the same animal after sawing. And so yes, other animals probably heard him saw and thought, well, there's a leopard around, but until such time as they actually spot it, they don't know where it's coming from or where it's moved to. And so, you know, he's still got an opportunity to hunt. It doesn't mean because he's sawed that the animals around here just know instinctively where he's going to be. He's moved a little bit from there, and it's definitely not the same animal that he would be stalking as the one that he had in his sights earlier. Tingana? Right, now I wonder if it's a trick or treat situation with Tingana. Maybe this is his trick for us this afternoon, is that he's just going to pretend like he's hunting and not do anything. But we're going to test the theory, because if we send you across to Sydney and his lions, well, if he is hunting, he certainly will do it as we send you back across that side.
All the best to Tingana, who is doing some hunting at the moment. So here I have got the Unkuhumas. They are just now very much stationary, relaxed, and they are together with some of the Mangeni, 3 males and 1 from the Talamati Pride. So I have just counted 7 from the Unkuhuma, and 3 from Mangeni and 1 from the Talamati. There's quite a number of them here at the moment. So they are not lying under the shade because the weather is overcast at the moment, and there is some cold air here where I am. They're enjoying it. They might be active at any time soon. They are not very far away from the Galago pen. Maybe that is going to be their nearest source of water. So you can see that these lions are lying down flat. Look at that. So when they are exposing their underneath parts is when they are trying to get rid of the parasites. The sun mostly burns the parasites here. So look at that. That is the paw, how it looks like, and the size. And this is what we normally see on the ground. That is nice and clear. So you can see these lions we are seeing now, the skin has got a problem. They've got a skin disease called mange. So it's a disease which is transmitted by some of the ticks and mites. So you can see that there is a big difference between the Mangeni males and the Unkuhuma females. The color is completely different. So what is happening here is very, very interesting, because normally lions, they fight too much when the intruders are attempting to join them. But here I have seen the Unkuhumas are not really welcoming the intruders. They do isolate themselves every time. And these other intruders is the one who normally try to get closer every time. It's not like they're 100% welcomed at the moment. Gosh, mange is not like a very contagious disease. The Unkuhumas at this stage, they're still very much safe. So, but I'm not too sure if the risks are there, because they feed together when there's a kill. I saw that a few weeks ago when they are sharing a buffalo kill. So now we can go to Steph with a rainbow.
You know, Mother Nature puts on such a fantastic show and has for us. We've got a rainbow, sunset, clouds in one direction. We've got a hippo in front of us approaching the carcass. We've got lions lying somewhere here. I don't know where they are at the moment. And then we've got hyena approaching in droves on this giraffe carcass with the sunset in the background. Wasn't that just the most amazing 20 seconds of visual that you've had in an age? It was for me, at least. But then again, I don't get out here much, so for me it's easy to say. Now we've got hyenas approaching. We've got 5 of them at the carcass, 6, 7 of them, plus another one at the back. A hippo coming to see what's going on. It's not uncommon for a hippo to feed on carcasses. Rainbow is now gone and switched off. The sun is almost gone itself. Let's see what this hippo is going to do. The wind is not blowing from the hippo, from the carcass to us. It's blowing from the carcass to us. It's not blowing from the carcass to the hippo. So he can't smell it. But I'm sure that this hippo knows that there's a carcass here. What are you going to do? Walk away. That's what he's going to do. Some more hyena running in on the carcass now. Snapping at the vultures. What a beautiful afternoon. We've pretty much just driven straight here. And we'll stay here as well. Oh, Laura Moore, you've asked if vultures taste or smell bad. I'm going to answer it in both ways that I know. Do they taste or smell bad? Absolutely. I think a vulture would taste and smell atrocious. Do they have a good taste of smell, good sense of smell and a good taste? I think that they've got probably no taste buds, but their sense of smell is very well developed. In fact, the Ruppel's vulture that we're seeing right now has one of the most developed senses of smell of any of the birds. And it's because they've been recorded coming into kills using just the sense of smell, where it was impossible, apparently, for the vultures to have seen anything to indicate the presence of a carcass on the ground. Now, that's also subjective, I'm assuming. I mean, vultures are very sensitive to other predators, so everything from jackals to mongoose, battle eagle to tawny eagle, and will quite often come and investigate where they're sitting. So I've only read that in one resource, but nevertheless, I'm going to use it. Look at that silly hyena with that piece of food in its mouth. What are you doing? Let's see what you're going to do. Shovel it in. Let's go and see if we can find our ruffled vulture. He's come out of the carcass now. So there, I think that's the one that's sitting on top of the termite mound there, feeling sorry for itself. It looks like it, hey? Wow, the smell that is coming off of this giraffe is unbelievable. I'm trying to sift through the aroma to try and decide what exactly I'm smelling. And I must be honest, I'm getting a fresh meat smell. Definitely a lot of feces, bird. Ooh, it's eye-watering at the moment, but not putrid past the point just yet. It's mainly just meat, coagulated blood, bones that have been cracked open, the intestines. I'm smelling a lot of, the innards, and like I say, tomorrow it is going to be rough. All right, we're going to sit here and see if, we're going to update you as soon as something changes. In the meantime, why don't you go and have a look at what Tingana's up to?
Well, I'm pretty sure that it smells quite rough out there. Luckily it's raining, which would make things at least a little bit better, but two giraffe rotting next to one another cannot be smelling very pleasant. The other good thing is that there's a full-on cleanup crew that is still there on the tail end of the migration. You'll still have a lot of vultures around, and you also have a lot of hyenas to clean up everything, and so it should be gone fairly quickly. Now you can see Tingana is still watching, whatever it may be. He's still watching. There was another vehicle that joined us that said that they can see impalas, but way down from where he is at the moment. So I don't think it's them that he's busy looking at. He must be watching something else, but at this stage I can't see what it is. So we're in a kind of typical leopard hunt, which is to sit and patiently wait for as long as possible until such time as he decides to actually try and do something. And so they're calculated animals. They'll sit and they'll be patient. The leopard is not going to be one that will rush a hunt if it doesn't want to. We know with Tingana that he often will spend a good few hours above a warthog burrow waiting for a warthog to come out, and so this is no different really. He's probably figured, well, if I sit here, maybe there'll be animals that will walk straight to me. Also, the wind is blowing perfectly for him at the moment, because the wind is coming from where he is looking towards him, and so it makes sense that he just sits tight the way that he is and just kind of takes it easy there, and then he'll be able to kind of strike from that position. So we'll just have to wait and see how this plays out. I took my wig off because I couldn't see anything. It kept blowing in my eyes, and it was horrible because I was trying to make out things, and so I'm going to have to go wigless for a little bit as we kind of negotiate this area. Also, I need to change cars now because Rusty really is not doing very well at all, and so Jamie's come to rescue me. She's brought me Jigger so that I can drive Jigger, and then Rusty will go to the doctor now and get his steering rod changed, and so that he can actually be in fine fettle once again. So it didn't take long to bend the first steering rod on Rusty. Rusty is unfortunately always prone to it because it has a different undercarriage to the other two that have a nice protection plate. Rusty doesn't have that bar that holds the steering rod in place, and so it bends very easily on this particular car, unfortunately. Right, I'm going to do a quick swap of the cars while Tingana is still down, and while we do that, let's send you back across to Sydney, who seems to have the lions up and about and grooming one another.
It is grooming time here where I am. I can see a couple of the lions have already started cleaning each other and cleaning some other family members, the closely related family members. I can see the young male there. He's now trying to groom one of the females. Sometimes grooming can be very much reciprocal. The ones who are doing grooming are also hoping to get it back afterwards. Gary, I am not too sure if these kind of animals do carry those kind of fleas, but I think lions, I haven't picked up any kind of flea. Maybe they do get them, but they do carry parasites. So you can see now this is one of the new males entering this pride at the moment. You can see the hairs are already long enough. So this one is I can see that his reproductive organ is always moving in and out. I think he's here trying to convince the females maybe for breeding. So they're sleeping again. So the females are now starting to be active. Look at that. And now one female is moving. Maybe it's time for him to wake the others up, or it's time to play. Look at that. The other one is serving as a pillow now. So that female is going there for grooming. It's her turn now. Rosalind, they don't spend much time looking at each other. You will see after a while it will be done and they will be changing, another one will be coming, but this is happening every day. So grooming is part of the family maintenance. This helps these animals to maintain the relationships amongst this family. So they don't only revive their love during the anniversary. It's something that is happening every day. You can see now he is trying to also groom himself. So the one who is grooming himself might, at the end of the day, hold the territory or get kicked out, because I have seen there's other males from the Avoca coalition. They come here a lot to visit the Unkuhumas. So look at that one yawning. When they're doing like this is when they're increasing the level of oxygen in the brain. So when there's too much oxygen by the brain, it helps them to cool up the brain. And when the brain is cooled, these animals, they improve the arousal as well as the mental efficiency. So when yawning is becoming contagious to all the family members, it helps the group with the mental alertness. So I am not alone here by the sighting. Don't get confused when you're hearing some camera clicks and the vehicles coming. Niconico, by looking at the stomachs of these lions, I can tell that they are not that very full. The possibilities of hunting, they are very much high at the moment. And the weather is on their favor. So look at the beautiful mane. So these animals have got very strong tooth structure. You can see their canines are very big and they're yawning every time. I can see this male is looking at one of the big birds. Maybe the lions also depends on these big birds such as vultures in order to get the food. So you can see there's a big bird somewhere high up there. Not too sure what that bird is, but I could see that one of the lions was concentrating on that bird. So the vultures must be giving the lions some information when it comes to the food availability in the different areas. So the wind is changing a lot. It was quiet when we got here. When the wind is changing too much like this, maybe animals in the area, they might get updates with regards to their presence. Oh, one is walking at the moment. Let's see. So now let's go back to Tristan. Tingana is again hunting.
Now you can see that Tingana is still stalking at the moment. So whatever it is, I don't know where it is at the moment. We've repositioned. We're right on top now as opposed to behind him. And I thought maybe we'd get a better view of what was going on. And he stood up and he ran a little bit and then he lay back down again. So whatever it is, it hasn't run away. It's still quite close. But he's looking across into a little gully. And so maybe behind this kind of guarri bush that's in front of us, there's another little sort of gentle gully there that is something. But whatever it is, he's very, very interested and definitely wants to try his very best to go after. I just have no idea what he's actually seeing at the moment. It's a bit tricky to be able to kind of figure it out and know what it is. Now, it must be something small like a duiker, because otherwise we'd be seeing it a lot easier than what we are now. We definitely can't see anything, and there's another vehicle that's joined us. They can't see anything, so I have no idea what it is that our leopard is currently looking at, and so we'll just have to be patient and see how it all plays out. And conditions are right for him. The thing is, if he fails here, if it is a duiker, the nice thing about duikers is they don't make too much noise. They just bolt and run off. Then he's got an option of impalas that are a little further down the drainage as well. So he's got a few options in this area, which is good for the Duke, because like I was saying just now, he definitely looks like he's quite full. Quite empty. He looks like he needs a meal, and so I'm pretty sure he is going to be hunting in order to try and find some semblance of food. But it's going to be, I think, one of those sightings where we're just going to have to sit and wait and be patient, and hopefully eventually he'll worm his way closer to whatever it is that he's stalking. The problem that he has is there's two francolins that are between him and where he was walking, and they keep squawking every time he moves, and so they are not going to be ideal for his pursuit of whatever prey species he is trying to actually go after, because they're going to give him away every time he twitches. There's a little squeaking, squawky kind of francolin noise. So right, we'll keep being patient, we'll keep waiting. Hopefully eventually Tingana will get his Halloween candy, and while we do that, let's send you back across to Steph, who's still sitting with the carcass, and I wonder what's going to be next on the menu.
Now, you would notice that we've got a slightly different hue to the screen at the moment, and that's because we're in full infrared right now, which means that we've strapped a big infrared light to the front of the camera, and we have no artificial light whatsoever, well, apart from the infrared, I suppose, no visible light shining onto the carcass. And we hope that the hyena and the vultures that are busy feeding now, as it starts to get darker, will show us a side of the dynamics of a kill through the course of a day that we haven't seen yet. Now, we were just discussing on the vehicle, oh, look at that demonic glare that the tapetum refracts from the back of the hyena's eyes. That's an adaptation of crystals on the back of the eyeball that refract any light from the back of the eye back through the eye to stimulate the nerve, the optic nerve. We don't have it. There's some lions roaring behind us. That's what the hyena are listening to, but still quite far away. We've got lions in front of us, probably 200 or 300 meters away. They will get responsive, I think, to that call. Now, just to come back to how bizarre this kill has been, it's an astronomical amount of meat. We're looking at 3 tons of meat. And just the procession of animals that we've seen through here today has just been relaxed, for lack of a better word, at the moment. When we got here, there was a lot of vultures squabbling amongst themselves, some feeding on the carcass. 2 hyena walked in, quite calm. 1 hyena had a few mouthfuls and then walked away. A lioness then came running in from nowhere to not come and eat, but to chase the vultures off, grabbing a vulture in the process, dominating it for a couple of minutes, and then she walked off and went to go join her pride mates, who haven't returned to the carcass. Then those 2 hyena came back with some friends, and that's what we're seeing here now. There's some lions roaring in front of us. Let's keep quiet. Could you hear that? It's still quite far away, but that was the lions roaring back to the pride that roared behind us. Now we're on the fringes of the Ululolo and the Marsh Breakaway Pride's territory here. And so I would imagine that the reason why the lions are not lying right here next to the carcass is because it's on the fringe of a boundary and they're exposed here. So they're eating and then going back to their core territory and resting up there rather than spending time around the carcass and basically just reducing risk to themselves. Now I'm sure that these lions are going to jump up and come running in here to chase these hyenas away. Territorial marking aside, this is a lot of meat that hyenas are devouring at the moment, and I'm sure that given the opportunity, given the fact that their bellies are starting to go down after an afternoon of digesting their meat that they ate this morning, I'm sure that they're going to come in here, especially since it's cooler now. And with the kamikaze flied into my face there. There are these blowflies which are just disgusting, which means that they've been sitting on that carcass and then have flown into my eyeball, and that is not cool. Disgusting. Anyway, back to the story. So luckily it wasn't in my mouth, which I think would have sent me out of this car and running into the bush like a crazy man. So I think that this particular carcass is on the fringes of the lion pride. That's why the lions are not here. They were eating here this morning. They've got full bellies. They retreated to their core territory to go and digest the meal. And I think these hyenas are nervous because they've got 2 prads of lion basically lying right here. You can hear the flies now using us as a perch. So the blowflies are leaving the carcass. There's a jackal in the foreground. So what's happening is the blowflies are leaving the carcass as night sets in and are finding the first perch that they can, which is our vehicle. We're the tallest bushy thing close to the carcass, and we must have about 60 of them now. My favorite. Anyway, let's see if this jackal manages to get a snack in. Shame. Yep, there he is. Come on. That was a hyena. Someone just got their lip nipped or their toe stood on. Come on, jackal. Steal a piece and leave. There's an entire another giraffe. There's not very many hyena at all. Go there. Rain is still falling. It's been falling now for about an hour. maybe a little bit more. I can see another hyena running in from the back of this. So how many hyena do we have here now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There it comes there. Beautiful. All right, we'll call you back as soon as things change over here. You're off to Sydney's Lions.
I have got a very, very incredible sighting. Look at the males now trying to cross here right behind me. This is lovely. One of the females is just now leaving the droppings in front of me, and the male has already gone past. Another male is also waiting to cross just now. So something very interesting just happened earlier when I saw the two young males together, and these males, they were at this stage, those males who were here, I've just seen them and they were grooming each other. It was amazing to see males, a male from Nkuhuma Pride as well as the male from the Talamati Pride were all together grooming each other. It was amazing. So I can see now that the other male is coming to cross. So these are the last two who are just crossing here at the moment. This is incredible. So I'm just going to follow them and see what their intentions are this afternoon. So the other ones might be very far by now. Niconico, the females, some they do give some orders here, but there is no territorial male that we can say this is responsible at the moment, because this pride, the Nkuhuma, is lucky to be visited by different females from different coalitions. So we're just going to try by all means and get a space and see if we can follow them. It's very difficult where these lions are going to at the moment. It's going to take me time in order to reallocate them. So I can see that they are moving right in the drainage, but they might come out. I'll try and pull out here and see if we can go around. Not easy to climb here. So I'm gonna have to try again. So now let's go back to Tristan with Tingana.
Well, we are still with Tingana. We have absolutely zero idea what he ended up stalking and what he was stalking. He's still looking in that general direction, but he's up on a different bank now. He went running this direction, and now it looks like he's repositioning. I wonder if he's going to come down towards us. I hope that he will, because it'll be nice if he walks right past us. Hello, boy. Look at you. Looking fantastic. Age. He really is looking supremely good, isn't he? I've been thoroughly enjoying the fact that we've been seeing so much of him lately. Now you can see he's going to walk behind us, unfortunately, which means we're going to just see the back of the poles and things, which I do apologize about. We'll slowly start to kind of figure out how to get rid of those. I think if I just reverse back is going to be our best bet here. I'm just going to be a bit careful now because of Jigger with me. Doesn't have a spare wheel at the moment because the spare wheel was changed out for Wendy's one, because Brent got a spare on Wendy. I mean, I got a puncture on Wendy, and so his is being fixed. And obviously Rusty, we didn't have time to change Rusty's spare wheel onto Jigger, given that we changed cars about 50 meters from a Leopard. I thought it was a kind of surgical precision that Jamie and I did that. We pulled up next to one another. Jamie hopped over me, I hopped underneath, and Craig on the back, and we just kind of changed cars right there and there. No one even noticed or blinked an eyelid, which was quite nice. Right, we're going to keep following Tingana. and see if we can find where he's off to and whether or not he has some success hunting. And so while we do that, let's send you back across to Steph, who I think is still sitting at the carcass, and it seems like lots of things are happening.
So that's our vulture that was smashed by the lion. I'm sure of it. It's got the ruffle of feathers still up, very submissive and subdued. And it's still around the carcass. It's almost now full dark. I don't think that this vulture is going to go anywhere. Probably just stick around here for the evening, which will answer some questions about whether or not vultures will sleep on the floor at night around a carcass. There's some jackal coming in now, and there's hyena all over the place, and the lions are roaring. It doesn't seem like they're coming anywhere closer to the carcass. Vultures. We've also changed the view, you might have noticed. We're now on the other side of the carcass, so we're looking at the giraffe that we couldn't see the head of previously. And you can see also lying with its head stretched out. Once again, just sort of, I think, just confirms the fact that I think these two giraffes just scored a simultaneous knockout that was hard enough to kill both of them instantly. And the rarity of that is the fact that both of them were killed. Is it rare that giraffes perhaps knock each other out when they're fighting? No, probably not. But both dying at the same time, I don't know. Perhaps some of you can find some reference to it somewhere on the internet. That is a black-backed jackal. And quite funny is that years gone by in the Sabi Sands, where Tristan and Sydney are driving around, black-backed jackal used to be quite common, but recently it's just the side-striped jackal. Now, Bob, you've commented on the fact that jackal looks so tiny compared to the hyena. It does, eh? What's going on here now? It does look tiny compared to the hyena, and that's because it only weighs about 7 to 12 kilograms, where the hyena can weigh up to 90 kilograms. So the difference between 24 pounds or so and 180 pounds. But for me, one of my absolute favorites. And the reason for that is that they're always busy doing something. That white blob that flew in front of the camera there, that was a fly, looking very similar to a pterodactyl, sounding like a pterodactyl. Now, you looking at this in infrared, I can hardly see the carcass where I am at the moment. I mean, there's still some ambient light around. It isn't completely dark, and there's a red tinge on the horizon, but it is quickly getting dark. The lions have now roared twice in the last sort of 10 minutes or so. Doesn't sound like they're getting any closer, but these hyena are getting ever more vigilant. Couple of mouthfuls and then look around. Couple of mouthfuls and then look around. Jackal doesn't seem too fussed at all. I'm sure he knows, or she knows, that you can get away in a blink of an eye. Now this giraffe's shoulders are also massive. Have a look at that. So these must have been two prime bull giraffes that are having a go at one another. And I mean, these Maasai giraffe are not as big as the common giraffe that we find at Djuma. And for them to have these huge shoulders means that these two guys were the best of the bunch, basically. And now no more. Now feeding the next generation of hyena and lion and vulture. There's our little friend, the one on the left-hand side. I still feel sorry for this vulture for some reason. It's had a near-death experience. Hey, look at the vultures. They've also got tapetums. I've never known that. So there we go. I've learned something new. Okay, so that vulture's decided he is not going to be sleeping on the floor, leaving probably just the single vulture. Now, that is rare, folks. The eye shine that you're seeing from the infrared light confirms that this vulture has a tapetum, which is a layer of light reflecting crystals, biological crystals on the back of the vulture's eyeball, and used to refract light that hasn't been absorbed by the optic nerve Look at those flies. No. So, which has basically would have just been absorbed by the pink flesh at the back of the eye socket. Now back through the eye to stimulate the optic nerve, and so that no light is wasted, which gives the vulture superb night vision. I wonder why they would need that. Why would a vulture need night vision? Or is it some other adaptation with the same biological crystal? David, you've asked the question, if the vulture is unable to fly, will it get treated? David, unfortunately not. And the reason for that is because what happened to that vulture was completely natural. Lion ran in and grabbed a vulture that was too slow to get off the floor. It mouthed it a little bit, left it alone. The vulture got up and tried to fly away. It was clawed out of the air, and now seems like it's just nursing a few injuries. I have no doubt that that vulture will repair it. We assessed it a little bit earlier. It didn't look like any bones had been broken. Its feathers are a little bit ruffled. It hasn't bled out, and they don't have a lot of blood in them. And apart from looking a bit bedraggled, smothered in some lion saliva, and having its confidence bashed a little bit, I don't think there's anything wrong with that vulture personally. The question still is asked, if vultures are on the decline in the world, why wouldn't somebody come and help this vulture? I suppose that's because really human interventions in these game reserves, this game reserve as well as the Sabi Sand Game Reserve, are only really conducted on animals where there's been an anthropomorphic reason for that animal being injured. Poisoning, for instance, would be something. Being hit by a car. Being hit by an aeroplane, flying into a power line, car driving over something. Those are reasons that this vulture would have been helped. But because this is natural, there's a hands-off policy right now for these animals, and it extends to everything from the hyena we're looking at to the jackal to the lion. And so for now we're just going to observe this vulture. I have no doubt that it'll probably spend its time on a stump that's close by to this carcass, or very near, somewhere on the ground and out of the way, and tomorrow morning, as soon as it can, it'll fly away. Well, anyway, that's my hope for this vulture. It doesn't look like it's making any effort, at least anyway, to want to fly away, and is still next to the carcass. So, I mean, that in itself shows you that it's still wanting the odd mouthful. I'm just absolutely flabbergasted at the fact that a vulture has a tapetum lucidum. I didn't even know that they did. Not even a nightjar has one. So, Kirsty, would you mind just repeating our viewer's name? Excuse me, I just missed the name. And the question again, probably. And the question again, sorry, Kirsty, I just slipped my mind while I was busy thinking about it. So, Ken, sorry, you asked, do vultures ever hunt? And please excuse my very porous memory and short-term memory loss there at both your name and your question. Excuse me. You've asked, do vultures ever hunt? Ken, no, unfortunately they don't hunt. And the reason for that is that their gripping strength in their claws is very low. They are highly adapted to scavenging. It's what their role is, their ecological, their biological role is to clean up meat at a massive rate. Vultures, in fact, swallow more meat every day than all the other. Look at this, saying hello to the. I mean, that is behavior I've never seen before. A hyena sniffing the beak of a vulture, crazy. Anyway, Ken, wow. I wonder if they know that this vulture was smashed by a lion and they're just giving it some camaraderie. I suppose that's a bit too anthropomorphic. So Ken, no, they can't hunt because they don't possess the tools, and that's also not what they've evolved to do. And so they, unlike hyena, are just purely scavengers. I want to just correct the fact that I said there just now. I said that this vulture has, like nightjars, do not have tapetums. Nightjars, in fact, do have tapetums, but very many birds do not. That I can think of, at least, anyway. I mean, I might be mistaken. I can't remember my facts right now. A very bizarre day. Now these hyena are supremely uninterested in where the lions are roaring from. Look here, another greeting. Now you'd think that this hyena would just grab this vulture and just get it over and done with, but it's not. Now normally you see, I think what's happening is those vultures are smelling the lion saliva. I mean the hyena are smelling the lion saliva on that vulture. And that's why they're taking more of an interest in it than seeing it as a threat. Do you think this hyena is going to smash this vulture? I mean, this is just a weird saga that's going on over here. Come on, vulture, turn around. Now I know if this vulture wants to move away. If this vulture starts to run away, it will elicit a hunting reflex in these hyena. I think what it's doing is just the right thing. Sit down, take it, but don't elicit a hunting reflex. Come on, what are you going to do? Lions roaring again. It sounds like they're actually further away now than ever before. And there the hyena just left it alone. Why? Why would it do that? Is it because it's too full and there's enough meat here? I mean, just the competition between hyena and vulture that you see at any other time of the day is just incredible. They snap at the vultures flap around and bite at the hyena. But this one's just wanting some friends for the night, I think I want to say, even though that's not entirely correct, I'm sure. Alrighty, we're going to keep on looking at this. If anything changes, we'll call you back. Enjoy South Africa.
On. So you can see that the Unkuhumas, they are just now by the big open space, relaxed. Some are close to each other and some are on a distance. Those on a distance, I can see that if anything comes here, they're going to corner that animal. So lions are very good group hunters, and they've got a very good combination when they are doing their hunting activities. So the weather at the moment here where I am is very good to influence them to hunt. If anything comes here, I can promise you they will do something about it. Maybe it's time to move now. I can see one of them is moving again. Oh, she's asking for some help. But they, both of them are grooming each other. You can see their stomachs are not full. These lions are hungry. So it's surprising seeing that these lions were very close to the waterhole and then they woke up and moved away from the waterhole. Maybe they have been to the waterhole earlier. Niconico, the lions, we do look at them on their eyes, but if you've got a spotlight to shine, if you shine on their eyes, you're going to damage the eyes. That is not good. But these animals, when looking at them on their eyes, when I'm in the car, they consider me as part of the car. They see me in the car as one object. So maybe they are going to move now because two of them are already moving. So let's just wait and see if the rest of the pride is going to follow. It is going to be lovely seeing them passing by. I can see it's going to happen now. Another one right at the back is also moving. coming. You can see they're all coming up here. These are beautiful cats. It's time to move on now. It's time to look for something to eat tonight. Niconico, the male has got manes because these males, they have got to compete for their territories. And these males serve for two purposes. One is to attract females to mate with them. Two, it helps them in order to protect the neck when they are fighting for the territories. Because the fight amongst the lions can be very vicious. Sometimes the mane does get very hot. So it does have both positive and negative impact. So now you can see the lovely big cats are just passing by very next to us. This is something very special. They're not going very far. I can see now these lions are just going to lie down again under the amarula tree very next to us. But they're all aiming at the hill which is just ahead of us. I'm just gonna pull forward after they all gone up this side just to see if there is a potential target far away. So you can see what we're seeing now all belongs to the original Unkuhuma. So the Unkuhumas, they are now trying to isolate themselves. All 7 of them, they are leaving all the intruders behind. So for now, let's go to Tristan.
Well, Nkuma's on the move, Tingana's on the move. It's been an active afternoon so far. There's been lots going on, and the vulture saga up in the Mara sounds absolutely fascinating and a really, really epic thing to see. It's not something we're going to see every day, and so quite something to kind of see how that's all playing out. Now you can see Tingana's in the Mulwati doing his thing. The good news is that he's mobile north at the moment, which is always nice. It means that he's heading into central parts of Djuma rather than southwards and away from us. I wonder if he's not going to be heading towards the dam cam, so it'll be nice if any of you do watch the dam cam. Probably a good thing to look out for him. Now, don't fall now, Tingana. He's walking fine though. There's a bit of scent marking. He's going to urinate. You might find him going and urinating close to that jackalberry, but he's looking up into the trees. What are you looking for, Tingana? Is there something around here, boy? Don't see anything. Maybe he just thought there might be a sign of a carcass somewhere, but right, let's catch up with him quickly, because he's kind of quite far ahead of us at this stage of the game. I think this is his technique, is he walks all the routes that he knows Hosana likes, and then looks up in all the trees in case there's a meal for him somewhere here. That's what it kind of feels like he's doing at the moment. Tingy, where are you off to next? No, don't go back that way. You can stay in the Mulwati, he's fine. If he goes up this bank, which is exactly what he's going to do, then it's going to be a bit of a hassle for us. It's not going to be very easy at all to be able to stick with him, because it gets very dense and very thick up here. Right, now he's just gone stationary here for a little bit, so we're going to kind of keep up with him. While we do that though, it sounds like Steph is having another epic moment, as something else that is related to what's going on there has joined the whole situation.
Now we've got some more visitors to this giraffe carcass that are, it's just like a gift that never keeps on or stops giving. We've got a whole bunch of giraffe that have decided to come and see what's been going on here, and they haven't really been attracted by the noise the hyena make, because that isn't what they're doing. But let's see if I can show you what this is. Can we look at this, or is it a little bit too much? Come and have a look at this. I have a FLIR thermal camera, and there you can see the thermal image in the pitch blackness. We've obviously got no artificial light here at all, and there you can see these giraffe, and there's more than just the two that you get to see. There's probably like 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them that are coming up to this carcass. You can see this silly hyenas rolling on its back on the left hand side. The jackal in the distance. I can see that our vulture friend is eliciting another. And these giraffe just keep on coming closer and closer. Isn't that just really cool? So I now cannot see anything. So you're looking at all of these animals in their thermal image. Let's see if we can go and show you over the side here. We got infrared light as well, which will give us a wash over this carcass. And there you can just see the first 2 or couple of giraffe there. Oh, there you can actually see most of them. That's amazing. Jackal making way for the bigger hyena. And these giraffe just coming in. I wonder what's attracted them. Obviously the commotion. They're downwind, so it's smelly as well. We had to move. The smell was getting bad. And the view from this side is also better. Here's our feathered friend. Shame, man. I really feel for this poor guy. Romit, you want to know if the giraffe are here to say goodbye to their friend and, you know, or to the 2 males that were fighting for them? Oh, that's such a difficult question to answer. Do giraffe know one another, and these males that frequent the herds? I think so. Do they mourn? Is there some mourning that's going on here? I don't think so, Romit, to be honest. I think that they just... It's a hyena that are busy having a bit of a fight over a tasty morsel. So do they mourn bull giraffe? I've seen them mourn their calves for a little bit, but not really any bulls. I think it's just that they're just inquisitive. Giraffe are very inquisitive of things that are on the grass, and I think that is what's happened now. And more giraffe are arriving in the distance, all just standing together, just peering at this carcass with these few hyena. And it's not even like the hyena are being particularly boisterous. Amazing. This pace of the action around this carcass has been probably one of the most intriguing things of it, is that there's a very measured, calm pace. And we've seen some sightings here that are just beyond belief. We've seen this vulture interacting with hyena with no friends around. We've seen it be smashed out of the air by a lion who appeared out of nowhere, didn't even have one single mouthful of flesh, just came and scribbled this vulture and then moved off. We've seen a hippo come and have a fight with these lions. I'm being plagued, or we being plagued, by all the flies you're seeing around that poor vulture at the moment. It has been really, really awesome. There you go. Another like, hey dude, how's it going? You smell a bit like lion. Sorry to hear about that. Now the pace of this eating has picked up a little bit. Hyena are now circulating out and then coming back in and circulating out. Let's have a look at the surrounds again. Could you come back to this, Archie? Sorry. Let's have a look at this. You can see how many giraffe have come in. It's obviously a very wide angle, and there you can see the giraffe off in the distance. There must be at least 1, 2, 3, 10 giraffe, maybe a bit more. Hyena are looking at what's going on. Jackal are running around. There's now 2 jackal here that I can see in the thermal image. Now some of the giraffe are moving off, so the ones on the far side now are moving away. They've had enough. look at the heat of the decomposition on the right-hand side giraffe. So just in front of the very hot hyena, there you can see this red dull glow, and that is from the decomposition of the meat of the giraffe. Ooh, can you imagine sticking your head inside there? Not cool. There's some. So I think that's something on the lens. So we've got a whitish hot spot on the lens here. If I move the camera, it moves with it, and I think that's just something either on the screen or the lens. I'm swiveling. Now it's changing color. I'm not very good with these toys, everybody. I never had toys like this when I was a kid, so for the most part. I'll just keep it in the same place and then Archie doesn't swear at me. Alright, let's go back to infrared and see what's happening around the carcass. What a bizarre set of circumstances here. Let's see what's going on with this. Okay, so we're going to say goodbye for a while, and you'll come back as soon as there's something else interesting happening at this gift that just keeps on giving. You going to Sydney with those lions he's with?
I am right with the lions here, following them at the moment. These lions, they are busy now trying to do some hunt at the moment here. I can see that they are climbing the termite mounds and they are looking for something from a long distance. Maybe they have already located something I cannot see. These animals have got good sense of smell and good hearing ability. So I am just following, and I will be following until we see who the main target is. So I can see that these lions, they are, every time they are walking and stopping and checking and listening and looking. So this is telling me that these lions are looking for something. You can see the mangy Mangeni male passing by, and some of them are still waiting there. Look at that. It's a beautiful male just hiding behind the termite mound. He looks very big. So males normally, when they are doing this hunting, they stay back. So they omit them from participating on hunt. Sometimes, if they need be, they do come and assist, specifically if it's a large prey animal such as the buffaloes. When they need more strength, they do join, but it is not part of their normal daily responsibilities. You can see one is climbing there now, just to have the high elevation in order to check if they can see something. We are not going to give up. We are going to follow these lions until we see who is there. The wind direction is on their favor. So now we can just go to the FLIR thermal camera in order to see how beautiful this animal is when on top there. You can see the body is very bright, which means the temperature on this animal's body is very high. Look at that. So this is beautiful. So another one is also coming there from the FLIR. It looks more beautiful. So these are the last ones following. What I'm going to do now is I am going to follow them again and see until we get to the open space. So now we are going to keep following. They are very much patient, these lions. I can see they are walking and they are stopping every time. They are stopping and listening. I'm very much interested to see who is attracting them. And I don't want to go in front because I don't want to disturb this hunting. So now let's go to Tristan, who's got the hyenas.
I do have a hyena and I've got a leopard. I've got both. And so they're just watching each other at this stage. And the poor leopard, unfortunately, Tingana, even if you're hungry and you kill something, you're going to have to compete. Now, I wonder if this hyena is going to get chased by the Tingana, because earlier, Tingana definitely chased after hyena. Wasn't very impressed. No, they're just going to by side now. Tingana's just off to the hyena's left. They're kind of very, very close to one another. You can see him just moving along. Are you going to chase hyena? No, I think Tingana just wants hyena to leave him alone in order for him to be able to go and find food. It's going to be very tricky where he's heading, though. I don't think we're going to have much luck. It looks like it might be Ntima that's with us at the moment that is going to follow him, and this is what hyenas often do, is that they follow leopard to see if a leopard makes a kill, then they can get food from him and steal it from him. So he's got a bit of a tough time of it, if you ask me. It's going to be a bit of a struggle in order to keep anything if he does catch it. And luckily the hyena that's following him is young, and he should theoretically, I'm going to say theoretically, be able to dominate that hyena and keep it at bay. But he's right here now, still kind of walking parallel with us, so we're just going to try and stay in the nice open and keep him in view, because otherwise it's going to be very tricky. We can't go where he's going at the moment. It's far too thick in that area. It's going to be almost a nightmare to try and follow him through that. The nice thing is, though, is that there's a really nice path that just kind of goes through, and it's a path that Tingana often uses. Now he's at the big jackalberry at the moment, so he's somewhere there, Craig, where we just shone the spotlight, going behind the jackalberry, and he should get onto a big path that runs. In fact, you can actually see where this path is at the moment in front of me, so as he kind of disappears, he'll come round towards it, and there's the big path going off on my left hand side. So that's the animal path that he likes to walk. He normally comes from my right, crosses the drainage like this and walks over it, but you know, with the hyena following him, that's probably dictating that he's moving slightly differently to what he normally does. I'm also just checking as I'm going, because there was some old leopard tracks. I mean, not fresh from today, but I just didn't see if they were his or if it was Hosana's that maybe were around. Was Hosana found this morning? No, he wasn't. He was seen yesterday afternoon around Pangolin track, so he could very well be milling about here. But at this stage, if he keeps up the way he's walking now, he's definitely going to go straight towards Vuurtela Dam, which is going to be very nice, and that means all of you will be able to see him on the dam cam and with us as well. If he keeps walking the way he's walking, he'll get there quite fast. Come on, Tingy. Where are you now? I've lost him now, which is not good. Trying to see where he went. The last I saw him, he was walking in this general vicinity. Craig, can you see him? And Craig is trying to look for him, but it's very tricky in this kind of thicket, and the way that he's been walking has been very difficult to keep up with him, because he keeps changing direction regularly. Is he behind us? Oh, there we go. That's exactly what I was saying, is that he changes direction. What's going on here, Tingy? You're not walking in your normal ways today. Am I on your path? I'm sorry, boy. I didn't expect you to come down the hill. I thought you were going to stay on top there. Anyway, he'll be alright. I'm sorry, boy. I didn't mean to cut you off. It's bad manners to cut an animal off. So if any of you are on safari and you see your guide parking in front of animals that are walking down a road and cutting them off and blocking the road so that they have to go around, it's very bad manners. It's rude to do that. It's not very nice at all, and so they shouldn't do it. It should leave the animal to walk on the path that it wants to. Anyway, Tingana's changed direction again, so let's try and catch up with him. While we do that, let's send you back across to Stefan, who's, I'm sure, having a wonderful time in the Mara. It certainly sounds like it.
And welcome to Hawk Elementary, all the way from Washington, D.C. in the United States. You are with me, Stefan Winterboer. We are in Kenya, in Africa, in East Africa. And what you were just looking at there is a big surprise that we have for you. There's a dead giraffe, 2 dead giraffes, and a lot of hyena are busy eating them, or eating on the meat right now. We also have about 1,000 flies that are flying around us that have been attracted to the smell of this dead giraffe. So you're going to be seeing me beating my face all the time to get rid of these vulture-sized flies that we have. But back to the carcass. Let's go and have a look at that. We had a hyena coming in here just now. These are spotted hyena. They are carnivorous and they also scavenge. Now what that means, carnivorous means they eat meat, and scavenge means they eat dead meat. Now Josie, you'd like to know if hyenas burrow underground. Josie, they have their babies underground if they can, so they do have dens. They don't dig them themselves though, they just excavate them a little bit deeper. Look at this, something's coming in the distance. That hyena standing on the carcass, eyes and ears peeled out. Now, lots of meat like this is a tempting treat for other hyena and lion. So these hyena would be very wary of any of the other animals coming through. And there you can see the eyes. That's a jackal, very similar to a coyote. And they're coming in for the scraps. Now, a hyena can eat 25% of their own body weight in meat. Now, Violet, you'd like to know how much the animals notice me. Violet, we're sitting here in a little light bubble. I only have a light on my face at the moment, but we are in the pitch black. I can't even see my hand in front of my face. We're using infrared cameras to show you this special picture. So you notice there, as Archie, our cameraman, came back to me, he switched off the infrared lights, and you can hear the hyena having a squabble over my shoulder at the moment. Let's see what's happening. We switch on the infrared again. It's going to take us a bit of time to find them. There they are there. More hyena, look at that. Hyenas coming back. Tails are up. Something's got them bothered. Could it be other hyena? Could it be lion? We don't know. It's a very difficult thing to say at the moment. There's just lots of hyena everywhere. Now what you're seeing over there is a submissive behavior of one hyena to another. It means they're of a lower social standing, and that's how they say hello. Isn't that the most disgusting thing? Luckily we don't have to do that, hey. We give hugs, shake hands. We don't have to do what those hyena just did. Now this hyena that you're looking at now has found a scrap to eat in the grass. Let's see what it does with it. Hyena's jaws are very strong. Ava, you asking, can we help the animals if they're injured? Ava, yes we can, if the injury was caused by a human. So if the injury is caused by a human, we will go out of our way to help an animal that's injured, depending on the animal that it is. But in most cases, if an animal is injured because of another animal or just because of the natural way of things out here, then we don't help. We just try, that's how we try our best to try and stay out of animals' business as much as what we can. Now that tail up, that's an excited hyena. Something's got the blood up of this hyena. Where are you going? Now hyenas live in families called clans, and there'll only be one clan of hyena here. Clover, you'd like to know why do hyenas eat dead meat? Quite honestly, it's because it's a lot easier to eat dead meat than it is to eat meat that's alive, or catch their own, I'm sure you meant there, Clover. So it's a lot easier for animals to scavenge, which is utilizing the meat from another kill, than it is to kill themselves. These giraffe weigh 1.5 tons each and have the hardest kick in the animal kingdom. It could kick a hyena to death with one kick. These two giraffe killed each other in a fight. Can you believe that? Giraffe hit each other with their heads. When they fight, they don't have fists to hit each other with, like boxers do. They box with their heads, and they must have hit their heads together at the same time, and so hard that they killed each other instantly. It is so dark out here. There's no moon. It's been overcast the whole afternoon, raining for about 2 hours. I just have my eyes glued to the screen like you do at the moment. I can see exactly what's going on here. You can see the shine from the animal's eyes. That is a layer of crystals on the back of the eyeball that helps the hyena see better at night. Lion have it. Your dog or your cat at home has it. And it's called a tapetum. That's the name of that layer of light reflective crystals in the back of an eye. Look how wary the hyena are. There are some lion around here. One lioness ran in here just now and bit the vulture that we're going to show you there now. This vulture has been sitting next to this dead giraffe the whole afternoon. It didn't look like that's a vulture that you're looking at there, that pile of feathers. It's still alive. Birds, like vultures, sleep at night time, and I think this vulture is just going to sleep right now. There you can see it lifting its head. I think this vulture is just going to be staying around here with his hyena friends. Alright, we're going to be sending you over 2,000 miles south now from Kenya to South Africa, where Sydney has something else special for you.
A very, very good evening, boys and girls from the Hawks Elementary. I am Sydney Niconico, and I am here with Senzo, who is my camera operator. We are trying to look for some big cats, interesting, lovely lions for you this evening. These lions, we have been with them for a while. It's just that at the moment they have just got disappeared. Chances of showing you the lions are very much high, and you can ask your teachers to ask us questions. You can follow us on Twitter, #SafariLive. So now let's go to Tristan.
Well, good evening from our side of the world, and good morning to wherever you guys are, and it is a warm welcome to all of you. I hope that you're having a wonderful day at school so far. My name is Tristan, as you just saw, and on camera I've got Craig, and what I'm trying to do at the moment is trying to follow a spotty cat that is giving me the runaround. So he's going round and round and round in circles, but there he is in front of us. So we've got one view of him. Where he's heading though is very difficult to follow, so I'm scared we're not going to be able to follow him for long, but let's try and get a view quickly before he does end up disappearing. So there he is. That is our big dominant male leopard that we get in this area, and you guys are very lucky because leopards can be very tricky to find. They're an animal that generally is quite shy and elusive. It doesn't like to be seen, and so they kind of move around on their own like this, and they will try and kind of hide away a lot of the time and use those spots to camouflage. And so we get lucky every now and then, or not every now and then, we're very lucky where we are here in this part of the world in South Africa, where a lot of the leopards are very, very relaxed and they allow us to view them, and so we can get quite close to them as they move about. Now this particular male, I've been following him now for the last 7 years, which is a long time, and so spent a lot of time with him, and he's quite accustomed to the vehicles that are moving around. But this evening he's been quite funny. He's doing all these big circles and loops and moving around and round and round, and he's not really following a pattern, which is quite different to normal. So Kaylee, the reason why we film during the morning and night is because basically the animals are most active at that time. So things like lions and leopards and hyenas and all of these kind of things, in fact all the animals, they like to move before it's too hot. So when in the mornings, you know, it starts to get to around 8, 9 o'clock at night, in the morning, and then it's starting to get really warm. It can sometimes get out here, it can get to over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so it can get very, very hot sometimes. And so they like to move around before it gets to that temperature. What's going on here? Now, I don't know what just happened. I think there was a warthog that just ran out and chased him, because I just saw him jump and something running, and he's looking down a hole. I think it was a warthog. I wonder what just happened there. I saw something run and him jumping in the air and going after it. Now, these guys do hunt warthogs, and how they hunt warthogs is often by looking for a burrow where warthogs will spend time. And so warthogs live in little holes in the ground at night, and they'll then these male leopards will go there, and they'll actually try and sometimes dig them out or grab them as they try and run. But back to the question that we were on about while he sits looking down the hole of this particular burrow, is that so during the day the animals all start to slow down because it gets very hot. At night the temperature starts to drop again, and so the animals will start to move just before sunset to be able to get food if you're a herbivore. So if you're an animal that eats leaves and grass, you like to move around at that time to be able to get food before the sun sets, because as the sun sets, then you start to see things like leopard and lion starting to come out and to start hunting. And so most of the animals will move around sunrise and sunset, and that's why it's important for us to be out at those times of the day. It's because when the animals are moving and not just sleeping, it's nice to sometimes see their behavior. Miles, yes, prey can fight back, and I think that's exactly what just happened now, is that you'll find sometimes when the prey is cornered, it will try and fight and try and chase off animals. And so if you look at lions and buffalo will use their big horns and they'll group together and try and chase the lions away. With leopards, warthogs will often try and use their tusks to try and gouge at the leopard, and they often do chase leopards. And what I saw now as we were coming around is I saw something run at him, and I saw him jump into the air. And so I think that maybe a warthog was charging at him, and that's why he got a bit scared and ran and kind of jumped into the air to get out of the way of the warthog. But look at this, look how close he is. That's the side of the car, so that is very special. To be able to get that close to a leopard is amazing. We don't get that all the time, and so very, very, very cool to see. Look, there he goes now. He's just walking down the path. Now, we've just come from this area, so I don't know why he's doing circles. A lot of the time he's got his nose to the ground, nose to the air. There's a bit of wind that's blowing, and so I wonder if he's not maybe trying to find and scavenge off his son. His son has been around a lot and providing a lot of meals for Dad. You see, look how he's sniffing. So I wonder if he maybe has picked up the scent of his son, or he might have picked up that there's a female estrus, which means a female that needs to be mated with, or potentially even that there might be food. So we'll just try and follow him. Ooh, Ella. Ooh. How many leopards have I seen? Oh, Stella, sorry. How many leopards have I seen? I don't know, to be honest with you, but I would say that it's just in the Sabi Sands area, which is where we are in South Africa, the northeastern corner of South Africa. I've probably been fortunate enough now to see, I would say, close on 220, 230 different leopards within this reserve, which is quite something. In terms of all over the place, I don't know. I mean, that's, I can't tell you, but it would be a lot. Probably closer towards sort of 300-400 leopards between all the other parks that I've visited. So I've been very, very, very lucky. I've seen leopards in many, many parts of Africa, which makes me very happy because a leopard is my favorite animal. So the more time I get to spend with leopards, the happier that I am. And I'm very happy this evening because we got to find this leopard. We've been following him around all afternoon. And I'm very intrigued by him this afternoon because he's not walking like he normally does. A big male leopard like him normally is scent marking, and they go round and round and round, and they'll walk and they'll follow a line and they'll try and scent, and they walk with purpose. But he's just doing circles all the time, and it's probably because he's trying to hunt, so he's trying to find some semblance of food in these areas. Right, we're going to keep following him. We're going to see if he's going to carry on hunting to try and find food. And while we do that, though, it sounds like Sydney has found his tawny cats.
I have got about 10 lions at the moment here. It's a very big pride, and this is the last one crossing the road at the moment. The rest of them are already gone, disappeared thick in the bushes. I've got to make a means in order to get them again. So a pride of lions is consisted of closely related family members, which is like the uncles, the father, the mother, and the sisters. And the cousins are there as well. So I can see now this lions has just gone disappeared there. I'm going to just move on and see if we can find them again. So I am going to just move now and try to follow them so that we can have a better sighting. Maybe they're going to come out somewhere not far. Asha, the lions, it takes 3, 4, sometimes 5 days. That is determined by the size of their previous meal. If they've caught a buffalo yesterday, they will still eat the buffaloes until a few days, and after that is when they will have to hunt again. And when they've got something in the stomach as well, they cannot catch because they are too heavy and they cannot run fast. They must have to lose all the food and become light so that they can be able to perform hunt. So they all got disappeared in a very difficult place. I'm just gonna drive around and see. The cubs, they stay with their mother for a long time. If the cubs are males, normally the males will grow when they get to 18 to 22 months. They become independent and leave the pride and start their own life. Just like what happens to us when we get to 18 years, 20 something, that is when we are starting to understand the independence. So I'm going to have my spotlight on now so that I can shine and see if we can reallocate them again. But these lions got disappeared in a very thick place. We might be lucky or not. So now let's go back to a tryst with the leopard.
Well, yes, we're still with Tingana, and he has now spotted something. So in those thickets behind him, or in front of him, should I say, there was some antelope called an impala. They're much like a deer in North America, and they're our most common antelope. We see lots and lots of them here. And it was probably what the leopards hunt most, if I'm honest. It's because there are so many of them. Leopards often will go find shouting. And so what he did is he stopped, and now he's just standing dead still, and you can see he's going to sit down, and probably what he's going to try and hope is that the impalas forget that he's there. So the impalas maybe stand, they can't see him anymore, then they start to graze again, and when they start grazing, it then makes it much easier for him to start hunting again. And you can hear that there's a wind that's blowing, and so that wind will make it very difficult for the impalas to hear him coming. So if he just sits quite still for a while, they'll forget about his presence, and then he might be able to hunt them. Lucas, this leopard is probably, I mean, how big is he? He will probably weigh that's him telling us that he's the boss around here, so he's not hunting anymore when he does that. That's him telling everybody, I'm in charge of what's going on. But Lucas, he probably weighs about, I would say, 180 pounds, maybe a little bit more than that, maybe closer to 200, which is big for a male leopard. He's a fine specimen. And in terms of how long he is, he's probably about 2.6 meters from nose to tail, 2.7 meters, somewhere there, which would be in feet, would be... Give me a second here, Lucas. I've got to convert this. It would be about 8.5 feet, I would imagine, from his nose to his tail. So that's roughly how big he is. Leopards are not as big as lions by any stretch of the imagination, but they are very powerful cats. So they've got huge amounts of muscle in their necks. You can see, look at how big his neck is and his head. And so big muscles on the shoulders, and they are built for power. They're not built really for speed. They're just built for strength. And look, there he comes at us. Isn't he magnificent? So that's his territorial call. It's like a lion's roar that he's making, and he's telling all of you that he is in charge of what is going on and what is happening out here. And so when he gets spotted sometimes and others alarm call at him, he will do this just to make sure that everybody knows that he's the boss. Right, now we're going to try and see if I can keep up with him. I don't know if it's going to be possible, because it's quite a tricky area. Oh, he's going to scent mark right there, which is quite nice. You see how he scraped his back legs? That's him just marking territory, making sure that he sprays his urine so that any other leopard that walks here knows that he's the dominant male. Good. We're going to keep up with him. We're going to try. Well, like I say, it's going to be a bit tricky, but we will try. And so while we do that, let's send you back across to Steph, who's still, I think, with the giraffe carcass and all that's going on around it.
You are so lucky tonight to have lions and hyena and leopard all in one game drive just for you. It doesn't happen like this every night. It's sometimes very difficult to find animals. Now, you'll see that that hyena that's just arrived has got a tracking collar on it. Of course, now she'll don't disappear into the dead giraffe. There, you can just see it there. That's used by scientists who study the animal behavior out here. And it's very important that they study these animals so that we can understand more about where they go and what they do. That collar does absolutely no damage to that hyena whatsoever. And for those of you who are wanting to become scientists one day, you'll be working with upgraded scientific instruments like what you are seeing there. Very tough. And that would be put onto a particular hyena. Jamie, one of our guides, knows these hyenas almost by name. I only know of one hyena that has a collar like that. She's called Waffles, and she's got some babies at the moment, and I don't think that this is her, although I'm not the best person to ask. Here you can see them greeting each other. Hyenas are my favorite animals, hyena and honey badger, and it's because they're always doing something. Now, this particular clan might also be the Happy Zebra clan, and in which case there's also another hyena that's got a collar on there. One or two hyenas in each clan. That's what the family of hyena is called, a clan, will have these collars on in this Mara Triangle in Kenya. And there's scientists that live here pretty much year round that study the information that these collars give to science. Can you believe it? Now, Cameron, you'd like to know if hyenas eat each other. Cameron, that's a good question. They don't hunt one another for food, Cameron. What they do though is when they... Ooh, that fly almost suicided me again. What they do is they might kill each other if they're from different clans and one intrudes into the territory of another. So yes, they can kill each other for overstepping boundaries, but they don't hunt one another for food, if that makes any sense. All right, let's see what's happening at that carcass again. So there we switched on our infrared lights, which is what washed the area in that greenish color that you're looking at there now. I can't see my hand in front of my face. It's pitch black, and the only thing that I have to look at is a screen, same as you. Isn't it just amazing? And there are lots of hyenas here now, all busy feeding on this giraffe. 3 tons of meat that will basically be devoured in the next 24 hours to 48 hours, maybe 36 hours, but nothing more than that. Can you believe all that meat gone, mostly by hyena, lion and vulture? There's one vulture lying on the ground here. All the others are sleeping in every single tree that's surrounding us at the moment. Has got droves of hyena. Asha, you've asked if hyenas' jaws are strong enough to crush bones. They absolutely are, Asha. Their jaws are stronger than a lion's jaws, and a lion is double the weight of a hyena. Can you believe it? If we go slightly right, look how fat that hyena is right in the middle. Now they, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, can eat up to 20%. Wow, it looks like there's got half the giraffe in that one's tummy. They can eat 20% of their own body weight in meat. Now you can ask your teachers, how much food would that be, taking your weight into consideration? And you will see what a mountain of food a hyena can eat. And they do that, it's called bolting food, so that they can put as much in their belly as possible in case something bigger comes along. Either another hyena or another hyena clan, or even lion will come and chase them off of this kill. And then they go and digest their full bellies of meat somewhere else, somewhere nice and safe, like their dens. That hyena looks like it's had the lion's share though. Erica, you'd like to know if these animals are in a national park. They absolutely are. They're in a game reserve called the Mara Triangle Game Reserve. But we're quickly going to send you 2,000 miles south to another game reserve where Tingana is hunting.
you can see, Tingana is stalking, and see in front of him there's a little shining light. That's an eye that's reflecting that Steph was talking about, and that's for what we call a scrub hare, which is basically like a little rabbit, and he's very, very close to that scrub hare, but you see he's going slowly. Now leopards are very calculated hunters. They'll walk and they'll keep their feet very, very still, and they'll walk nice and slow. Now you see that scrub hare is thinking, oh, there might be something happening here. I need to stop and listen. And scrub hares have big ears to hear what's going on. The problem is that it's very windy, and the wind is blowing from the scrub hare to the leopard, and so it's not able to actually hear that leopard coming. And so to watch the leopard carefully. If that scrub hare kind of faces away from him a little bit, you might find that he'll run. The problem is that scrub hares are very, very fast, and he's an older male, so he's big and he's getting a little bit slower because he's getting old. He's about sort of 12 to 13 now, and that means it's difficult for him to chase very fast animals like scrub hares. But look at him now. You see he's thinking about moving. The scrub hare stopped feeding again. Now if the scrub hare sees him, it's going to run very quickly to get away from him. I don't think he'll get a chance to actually grab it if that does happen, but let's hope that he can get a little bit closer. He does need a meal. He's a little on the skinnier side for him. He normally is quite fat male leopard because he finds a lot of kills that his son and his kind of female that he mates with, that they kill, and so he's often feeding off those. But let's see how he goes here. He's definitely poised to try and jump on that scrub hare. Now, like I say, leopards will always exercise lots of patience. They generally will sit and wait and be as patient as it needs to be to get close enough. Now, you'd think that that would be close enough. For something like a cheetah, it would be very close, and a cheetah would definitely be able to run from there. But a leopard, not quite as fast as we were talking about earlier. They're a little bit kind of more built for power, and so they need to get within sort of 5 meters or very, very, very close to them in order to be able to use that speed and that turn of speed to catch an animal unaware. So basically what's happening now is this leopard is just waiting and hoping that the scrub hare turns and comes more towards it. Then it doesn't have to worry too much. But let's see, if the scrub hare starts to feed, you see, look, now he's lying down. Now he's going to hope that the scrub hare hops its way closer to him. Jackson, well, it depends. I mean, obviously leopards are very opportunistic animals, and they have a very wide array of food that they eat. So they'll eat anything from little insects all the way up to baby elephants. So there's a lot of things in between that they eat. And that will depend on how often that they need to feed. But generally what we use as a kind of rule here is that it's about every sort of 3 to 4 days that a leopard will be on food. Generally, you know, sometimes it can be a bit longer, sometimes it can be a week, sometimes it can be, you know, every day that they find food. But it becomes extreme when they haven't eaten for about a week. Then they start to look really skinny. But normally we find our leopards find some sort of food every sort of 2 to 3 days is probably more accurate than 3 to 4. But look, you see the little scrub hare? It's coming across now. Now that's the difference between a scrub hare and a rabbit, is the fact that they are out at night. So rabbits are animals that are active during the day, whereas hares come out at night in South Africa. And you'll find that they have much longer legs than a rabbit. You see its front legs there? Look how long its front legs are. And it also has much longer ears than a rabbit. Ethan, the simple reason for cats having to stalk is that the prey that they hunt is very, very fast, and it's very, very good eyesight and smell and ears to hear things with. And so if a cat doesn't stalk, it's going to be spotted and it's going to be seen, and the prey animal is going to run away. It's not just going to stand there and say, okay, you can eat me now. And so that's why cats have to get nice and low, and stalking means that they use their environment, so they'll use trees or bushes to hide behind, and they'll walk nice and slowly to get very, very close. And so stalking is important in order to hide away and to get close enough that they can actually grab a prey animal. Remember also with prey animals is most of them run at the same speed as what maybe the predator does, except for the cheetah. The cheetah is faster than everybody, but most of the animals will run as fast as a leopard or a lion, and so they need to get very, very close and have surprise on their side to be able to grab a food item and actually secure a meal. So, you know, they have to stalk, otherwise they're going to be spotted from far away and they'll never be able to eat. Remember, these animals are not being fed. They have to feed themselves, and they have to find food out here, and it's very difficult to do that. And even with stalking and camouflage and all these things, leopards and lions only really are successful probably between 20 and 30% of the time that they hunt. So if you work that out in a number, it would be 2 to 3 times out of every 10 times that they try and stalk an animal, they're actually successful. So it gives you an idea of how hard it is to get there. And imagine if they didn't stalk, it would be impossible. They would never be able to get close to any of the animals to be able to eat, and then they obviously wouldn't survive. Right, now we're going to sit here. We're going to hope that our scrub hare and leopard don't move too far. But while we do that, we're going to send you back to Steph, who's got a big fight that is taking place between a feathered friend and 2 tawny cats.
And lions have arrived on the scene to chase the hyena away. Can you believe it? 2 young boys from a local pride of lion have arrived on the scene, chasing away these hyena. No more hyena left here. They didn't even put up a fight. They were too full, and now these lions have claimed this carcass as their own. These are 2 youngsters. They're not old males. They look like males, but they're not old enough to hold this carcass. If the hyena decide that they're going to take it away from them, they will come back and mob these lions off. These lions are hoping that they have the backing of the rest of their pride. Now their bellies are super full, and what happened was they ate a little bit, and then they came to give this poor vulture a little bit of a run around. They pawed it a little bit. They never hurt it, they just woke it up, and now this vulture is sitting very confused at what to do. Can't run away because then they'll catch it. Has to stick around. Hyenas left it alone. Lions didn't. And that's because lions are really like big bullies. I don't want to leave anything alone. Just leave the vulture alone. There we go. You got all this meat all to yourself. What are you going to do with it? No, leave the... Now, Erica, I was busy answering a question to you about are these animals in a national park? And they absolutely are. It's a game reserve called the Mara Triangle Game Reserve. We are in Kenya, and you can have a look for us. Basically, if you go and find Lake Victoria, and then you draw your finger down to the boundary of Kenya and Tanzania, you'll find a big game reserve there called the Greater Masai Mara Game Reserve. A portion of that is the Mara Triangle Game Reserve, and that's where we are right now. It is a national park insofar as it belongs to Kenya and Kenyans. You know, it's not privately owned. And it's the same as we have in South Africa, where Tristan and Sydney are driving around. That's also a national park. That's the Kruger National Park, but it's a portion of privately owned land that's part of the Kruger National Park. So all of these animals are inside national parks. And in fact, I'm going to tell you something now that is going to shock you, but lions do not occur outside of the national parks easily anymore. Their numbers are dwindling. So the fact that we got to see lions tonight is so special. All right, now you're going to shoot back across to Tristan. We'll keep an eye on these lions. If they do anything special, we'll call you back.
Well, isn't that interesting of that side, how even though a vulture is an animal that eats meat, it still has other predators that will go after it, and it's a very unique thing to see. Now, unfortunately, I think our male leopard has missed here because he's allowed the scrub hare to get too far, but also what he seems to be doing is trying to get behind the scrub hare so that it doesn't see him coming. Now you can see the scrub hare has lifted its face, and that's now when he sits dead still and waits and hopes that the scrub hare starts to feed again. When the scrub hare starts to feed, then he'll move. So he's going to be as patient as he can possibly be, but he's trying to get behind it so that the scrub hare doesn't see him coming. As soon as the scrub hare sees movement, it's going to run. So he needs to be behind it and hope then that it will kind of... Well, there we go, he's trying to move. Let's see, if he does go, I think he's going to do a big bound to try and get to it, and it will be over very quickly because either the scrub hare is going to get away from him or he's going to grab it, and unfortunately a scrub hare is a little sort of starter for a leopard of this size. So Josie, a leopard is not, like I was saying earlier, is not as fast as something like a cheetah or even a lion for that. There we go, wait, he might go. He's ready, no, just sitting there now. Just going to hope that the scrub hare starts to feed again. So he'll only run at about 35 miles an hour, which is not that quick. It's much slower than what you'll see from other big cats. So like I say, something like a cheetah can go a little bit closer to 60 miles an hour, which is a lot faster. And so they're not built for speed. They're built for power, and they're built for ambush. And what ambush means is that they use their camouflage to get into a position. Look. Now, is he going to go? He's thinking about it. So close, but this is the thing with the leopard, is that it can be this close, and it still sometimes will miss. You see, he's trying to get a little bit lower, so that the scrub hare kind of feeds its way towards him a little bit. Let's see if he moves. It's difficult also to judge how far the scrub hare. No, the scrub hare has moved a little bit. You can still see it behind the bush. It's not far, but it is moved a little bit. Now, I wouldn't be surprised he moves as well. There he goes. Is he going to run after it? I can't see the scrub hare anymore. But I was saying it's difficult to know how far he is from the scrub hare now that it's moved behind the bush. The lens, when it's far like that, it makes things appear much closer than what they actually are in relation to one another. And so it can be a bit tricky to work out where everything is. But hopefully the scrub hare will turn and come back towards him. You see there's lots of grass there, and that's what the scrub hare is feeding off, is that grass. And so you'll find that it might do a loop of feeding and come straight back towards him. Jackson, what do leopards do with the bones? Well, basically what they do is, in something like a scrub hare, is they eat them. So they'll just crunch all of that down. They've got big, powerful jaws, and they'll be able to eat all of that. If it's something big like let's say a giraffe, like what Steph has got, then no, those bones are too big and too thick for him to actually be able to process. So unfortunately, then you'll find that a leopard will just lick the bones, get all the meat off, and then leave the big bones and try and eat all the small ones instead. But I don't know where the scrub hare is. I can't see it. It looked like he was about to jump up and run after it, but it seems like he's sitting in. Katie, not so much corner, but often intercept. And so what that means is, if let's say the scrub hare is moving from the left to the right, often leopards need to position themselves slightly to the right and hope that the scrub hare moves straight towards them, and then they can grab it. So they don't corner prey animals. Prey animals are very clever. They know that if they get into a place where they can't go anywhere, it's very dangerous, and so they'll avoid that as much as they can. They won't get to a place where they're cornered. The only time that you sometimes see a leopard cornering something is if it chases it into a water point. So sometimes animals will try and flee into water. Look, it looks like he might jump from there. You see how his legs are under his bum? Now that's normally so that he can spring forward and grab whatever it is. Now I wouldn't be surprised that scrub hare isn't too far away and actually moves towards us, and we might see it appear from the right behind the bush, although his back leg has come out now, so he might be a little bit more relaxed, and maybe the scrub hare has moved off slightly. Whew. Tense, isn't it? Kind of, you don't know who to root for. You want the scrub hare to be okay, but you also want the leopard to get a meal, and so it's tough when you watch these animals hunting, and you never know when they're actually going to strike, and so you kind of sit patiently waiting and hoping that you'll kind of see the outcome of what goes on. But I don't know where the scrub hare is, to be honest with you, and I don't want to move, because if I move, then that scrub hare might just run away from him and he loses his dinner, and I don't want that. And so we're trying to be as helpful as possible and trying to stay away. Good. Now while our leopard sits there and looks for his scrub hare, let's send you to Sydney, who's found the biggest animal that we get out here, but they're not in the normal color that you'd think they would be in.
So you can see there I've got the biggest land mammal, the elephant, nice and clear by the FLIR camera. You can see the body is much very bright because that is the heat. Thermal camera detects the heat on an animal. You can see the surrounding is not that very high in terms of the temperature at the moment. So these are the elephants who are very stationary feeding at the moment. So the elephants, look at that one, is now leaving some droppings. They've got to excrete their droppings after every mostly 45 minutes. And in 45 minutes they can excrete 2.5 kilograms. Look at that. So they are now excreting some food for the dung beetles. So droppings are main source of food for some of these insects, such as the dung beetles, dung rollers. So you can see, I can see 3 from here where I am, but there were more than 3 when I got here. Elephants, they don't stop feeding. They will feed for 18 to 21 hours. So now let's go back to Steve, who's got the lions and the hyenas. Steph.
Come on. The lion and the hyena are having a classic showdown. It's the good cop, bad cop. Ah, there we go. This young boy's coming in, and you can see the hyenas are busy running away at the background. Are they brave enough to stay here with this lion? No, there comes one. Now, hyenas are smaller, sometimes up to more than half of a lion, and these are 2 young males. They don't have the confidence, and I think these hyenas know that they can perhaps mob the lions off of their dinner. One hyena will come in. Let's see, another hyena comes in. There we go, lion's chasing him away. Go, 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 go. Tail thrashing. These hyenas are not deterred though. You can see they just ran off a small distance, and now they're starting to come back again. 2, 3, 4 hyena. Violet, can different animals hunt with each other, you ask? Not really, Violet, unless you're talking about birds. But these big mammals, lions hunt with lions, hyena hunt with hyena, cheetah are solitary, leopard are solitary, and they don't hunt with each other, but they can feed on the same carcass. It's called co-feeding. And lion and hyena have been known to feed on the same carcass. There we go. This lion has got his back to the hyena. It's a dangerous place for him to be. He's showing submissive behavior there. Now watch, as he walks off, the hyena will follow him. Yep, he's chasing another one. Bounding through the grass, and off he disappears into the blackness where our infrared lights can't reach. There must be lots of hyena out there. And now he comes back, all brave. You can see how brave he is. He's protected his kill. But it hasn't chased these hyena off. They're not deterred. And I think we're in for a boxing match around this carcass. Just too much meat to just be left lying around. And these hyena know it. There, they're following this lion. Look, hot on his heels. Is this lion going to be brave enough to fight them off again? So all those lights, the eyes reflecting in the background are hyena. There's no other lion there. He's on his own. Got his brother with him though. That will count for something. What are you going to do? Are you going to eat a little bit? And then our poor vulture? No, leave him alone. Don't pest the vulture. I think this vulture's in the worst possible place. He's going to be in a battleground between lion and hyena soon. There you go. Tail flicking, that's a sign of agitation. What are these hyena going to do? Are they going to eat on the carcass? There's enough meat to go around. It's just super exciting to be out here. It is freezing. It's probably about 10 to 16 degrees, which is about 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And both Archie and I just have tiny little jackets on. Schoolboy era. Look, these hyena are coming in now. What's this lion going to do? Come on, share your meal. Don't be a bully. Is he going to catch that hyena? No. Oh, he's gone behind our car. We can't see him. Left the carcass open though. So that lion just ran right behind our vehicle. He's here somewhere behind us. We can't see where he is because it's dark. We've just got these little lights that shine onto my big bald head. And so we can't see where he's gone, but I'm sure he'll come back through to his carcass right now. But we are going to be sending you back through to Tingana to see what he's up to for the last few minutes of this drive.
Well, our male leopard missed his bunny dinner, unfortunately, and so now he's just sitting staring off into the darkness, unfortunately. Well, he's going to be hopefully finding some sort of a meal during the course of the night. Even though he missed that, there would still be some sign of food around. Unfortunately, though, it is that time for us to say goodbye to all of you. I hope that you had the most wonderful time. You really got spoilt this evening. There was lots and lots of things that you don't see every single day, and so I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you have a good day at school further, and that you don't have too much homework that you have to do, and that you have a really good afternoon. But from Steph, myself, and Sydney, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll see you all once again soon, and maybe potentially even tomorrow morning on Sunrise Safari.